ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਏਕ ਓੰਕਾਰ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਜੀ ਸਹਾਏ ਵਾਰ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹ ਦਸਵੇਂ ਪ੍ਰਥਮ ਭਗਵਤੀ ਸਿਮਰ ਕੈ ਗੁਰੂ ਨਾਨਕ ਲਈ ਧਿਆਏ। ਫਿਰ ਅੰਗਦ ਗੁਰ ਤੇ ਅਮਰਦਾਸ ਰਾਮਦਾਸ ਵੀ ਸਹਾਏ। ਅਰਜਨ ਹਰ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਨਾਉ ਸਿਮਰੋ ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਰਾਏ। ਸ਼੍ਰੀ ਹਰਿ ਕ੍ਰਿਸ਼ਨ ਧਿਆਈਐ ਜਿਸ ਡਿਠੇ ਸਭ ਦੁਖ ਜਾਏ। ਤੇਗ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਸਿਮਰਿਆ ਕਰ ਨਾਉਨ ਦਿਆਵੇ ਧਾਏ। ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਸਹਾਏ ਦਸਵੇਂ ਪਿਤਾ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗੋਬਿੰਦ ਸਿੰਘ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਸਭ ਥਾਈ ਸਹਾਏ। ਦਸਾਂ ਪਾਤਸ਼ਾਹੀਆਂ ਦੀ ਜੋਤ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਪਾਠ ਦਰਸ਼ਨ ਦੀਦਾਰ ਦਾ ਧਿਆਨ ਧਰ ਕੇ ਬੋਲੋ ਜੀ। ਹੇ ਨਿਮਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਮਾਨ ਨਿਤਾਣਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਤਾਨ ਨਿਉਟਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਓੜ ਸੱਚੇ ਪਿਤਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ। ਧੰਨ ਧੰਨ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਗੁਰੂ ਗ੍ਰੰਥ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਹਜ਼ੂਰੀ ਅੰਦਰ ਅਰਦਾਸ ਬੇਨਤੀ ਜੋਦੜੀ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਆਪ ਨੇ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਜੀ। ਆਪ ਦੀ ਗੁਰਬਾਣੀ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਫਰਮਾਨ ਹੈ ਜੀ। ਸੇਵਕ ਕੋ ਸੇਵਾ ਬਣ ਆਈ ਹੁਕਮ ਪੂਜ ਪਰਮ ਪਦ ਪਾਈ ਦੇ ਮਾਵਕ ਅਨਸਾਰ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੇ ਦਰ ਕਰਦੇ ਗੁਰਚਰਨ ਸੇਵਕ ਭਾਈ ਸਾਹਿਬ ਭਾਈ ਸਤਪਾਲ ਸਿੰਘ ਜੀ ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਸਦਕਾ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਆਰੰਭ ਕਰਨ ਲੱਗੇ ਹਾਂ ਜੀ। ਆਪ ਜੀ ਦੀ ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਜੀ। ਸੇਵਾਦਾਰਾਂ ਦੇ ਸੰਗਤਾਂ ਦੇ ਆਪਣਾ ਮਿਹਰ ਭਰਿਆ ਹੱਥ ਰੱਖ ਕੇ ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਕਰਵਾ ਲੈਣੀਆਂ ਜੀ। ਕਿਰਪਾ ਕਰਨੀ ਜੀ। ਹਰ ਮਨੋ ਕਾਮਨਾਵਾਂ ਭਾਵਨਾਵਾਂ ਪੂਰੀਆਂ ਕਰਨੀ ਜੀ। ਗੁਰਮਤਿ ਵਿਚਾਰ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਆਗਿਆ ਬਖਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰੋ। ਅੱਖਰ ਵਾਧਾ ਘਾਟਾ ਭੁੱਲ ਚੁੱਕ ਮੁਆਫ ਕਰਨੀ। ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦੇ ਕਾਰਜ ਰਾਸ ਕਰਨੀ। ਸਹੀ ਪਿਆਰੇ ਮੇਲ ਜਿੰਨਾ ਮਿਲਿਆ ਤੇਰਾ ਨਾਮ ਚਿਤ ਆਵੇ। ਨਾਨਕ ਨਾਮ ਚੜ੍ਹਦੀ ਕਲਾ ਤੇਰੇ ਭਾਣੇ ਸਰਬੱਤ ਦਾ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਬੋਲੇ ਸੋ ਨਿਹਾਲ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Ladies and gentlemen, yesterday we had a very interactive session which was well attended. How many of you were here yesterday? Show of hands. Amazing. And how many of you remember what were the three things that were spoken about and that we all took back? Anyone? Shout it out. The three things that Bhai spoke about. Amazing. Second one?
Count your blessings, not your problems.
Excellent. Third one?
Nothing is life, everything is divine.
Excellent. I think you've been a very attentive audience. And I'm sure today we're going to delve deeper into the teachings and the wisdom that we're all going to take away from here. By the way, show of hands or just a shout out, what would you like to hear today? We'll come back to that. We'll get back to that. Yeah.
Importance of the Guru.
We're going to come to all that in the interactive Q&A session. But before we get started, the seminar, it is my humble duty to invite on stage the President of East African Ramgarhia Board, Mr. Singh for his remarks. The President of East African Ramgarhia Board.
Vaiguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji Ki Fateh. Respected trustees, members of the Governing Council, our guest, Bhai Satpal Singh, Victoria Commercial Bank Chair of Board, Iteka Seth, Chief Operating Officer, Mr. Kapnesh Jotagia, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. On behalf of the trustees and members of the Governing Council, I extend a very warm welcome to you all this morning to attend a seminar on wisdom and meditation by Bhai Satpal Singh. I welcome Bhai Satpal Singh and his gracious lady Harmeet This morning, we have traveled from UK They have been with us since Thursday. I also would like to extend a welcome to the CEO, all the members of the Victoria Commercial Bank this morning, who have partnered with us for this program. Respected Satsanga, East African Ramgarhia Board, to commemorate the 555th Gurpurab of Sri Guru Nanak Dev Ji, invited Bhai Satpal Singh of Nanak Ram Institute, who has delivered lectures and meditation classes for over 10 years to the Ramgarhia Gurudwara Sahib Pangani, where he combines a unique blend of ancient spiritual wisdom with easy to follow techniques that bring value to all who will attend. Today's busy lifestyles that most of us experience on day-to-day basis, meditation is a practice that can help people in today's society to manage stress, improve their health, and enhance their well-being. With each from Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj, I am confident that the attendees of the two-day seminar will enhance their interest in referencing to Sri Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj for not only challenges that they face, but also for their day-to-day guidance. At East African Ramgarhia Board, we are always advocating for reaching for the incentives such as these, which not only benefit the membership, but the community at large. Going by yesterday's well-attended seminar, I'm confident that today's seminar will be equally engaging, if not better. At this juncture, I would like to recognize and the support that Victoria Commercial Bank have put into this event. On behalf of the board, I welcome Victoria Commercial Bank Chair of Board, Ketika Seth, and Chief Business Officer of Deposit, Azima Patni, and Mr. Kaplesh Jotengia, and his management team and invited guests of the prestigious institution to Ramgarhia Gurudwara Sahib Pangani, and look forward to more engagements which are mutually beneficial. Satsangaji, without taking much of your time, I thank you once again for attending this informative seminar. On behalf of the board, I thank you all. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Thank you, President. Just a few housekeeping rules. Please put your phones on silent. The hydration point is towards the back of the hall. With us today, ladies and gentlemen, as mentioned by President Surinder Singh Sira, is an institution which has partnered with us on this informative session. And I would like to call upon the Chief Operating Officer of Victoria Commercial Bank, Mr. Kalpesh Jotengia, to give his address. Mr. Jotengia. A round of applause for him, ladies and gentlemen.
वाहेगुरु जी का खालसा, वाहेगुरु जी की फतेह. Sat Sri Akal. A good morning and a warm welcome to each one of you. On behalf of Victoria Commercial Bank PLC, its board, We are truly honored to be joined today by the officials from the East Africa Ramgarhia Board, distinguished guests, esteemed members of the community, and our valued clients. It's also worth mentioning that we have in presence today the chair of our board, Ketki, our bank's non-executive director, Mr. R.B. Singh, who is a highly respected member of the Sikh community. Along with them, we have members of our executive committee. I will start by mentioning our Chief Business Officer Deposit, Mrs. Azmina Patni. We have Poonam Shah, our Chief Business Officer Assets. We have Mr. Mitesh Chauhan, our Chief Credit Officer, and myself, Chief Operating Officer Kalpesh Jatangia. We acknowledge and observe all protocols with utmost respect. It's an absolute honor to be part of this program and are immensely delighted to collaborate with the East Africa Ramgarhia Board to sponsor this event, bringing such a distinguished speaker to the community at large. Today's guest, Bhai Satpal Singh's message could not be more relevant in today's fast-paced world where moments of reflection and clarity can transform our lives. This is a moment to pause, to learn, and to embrace new perspectives that will guide us in the months and years ahead. At Victoria Commercial Bank, we believe that true corporate strength lies in both financial and human prosperity. In sponsoring this event, we aim to continue championing initiatives that add value to the community at large. We thank each one of you for being here, and we look forward to a meaningful session ahead. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Thank you.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, there's something funny. When you come on stage, you tend to look very serious. But let me tell you, Kalpesh is an excellent singer, if you didn't know that. He's tend to come here like, official of a bank, I'm serious, but deep down he's an excellent singer. I remember in young days, we used to go to Naivasha, DJ on Saturday night, on a Friday night, bring him back Saturday during the day so he could do the Hanuman Chalisa. So Kalpesh, thank you. Azmina, nice to see you here as well. And not taking much of your time. Satpal Singh is from Namik Naam Institute. At the back we have a charity box. So please, be generous, donate to charity, donate to a good cause. We will have 2 sessions today. The first session will be, as Paisa will be taking us through, we'll have a comfort break thereafter for around 15 to 20 minutes. After that session, we will have an interactive Q&A like the one we had yesterday. We will encourage you to raise your hands, or mic carriers will come to you. You can ask your question. Please keep it as brief as possible, and kindly let us not repeat on similar or same questions again. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. It is my duty now to present to you Bhai Satpal Singh. Thank you.
Welcome everyone. Thank you so much for having me back again. It's a real pleasure for me to be here. As I always start, I'd like us to join in a short meditation to prepare our minds to receive wisdom. We have busy lives, we have so many things that are running through our minds. But when we're receiving wisdom of such high value, then it's only right that we not only clean our bodies, present ourselves, come with nice clothes, but also that we clean our minds in order to receive something of so much value. So I'll ask you to please put down anything that you have in your hands. Put your phones on silent. And join me for a short meditation. So sit up straight. Get comfortable. And close your eyes. And just give yourself permission to let go of all the busy thoughts that run through your mind. And simply bring your attention to the feeling of your breath moving in and out of your body. Try to slow your breathing down. Notice how the breath feels as it's moving in through the nose, into your chest, and the feeling of the breath moving out here. Try to see if you can just maintain your awareness on the breath without getting distracted in other thoughts, in other ways. Whenever you find yourself lost in another thought, simply let go of that thought and bring your attention back to your breathing. Slow your breathing down even more, taking long breaths in and long breaths out. Relax your shoulders, relax any tension in your muscles. And I'm going to ask you to join me in a very simple mantra. And the mantra that we're going to sing is Namo Namo. And it is a call out to the universe, to the universal life force, and it simply says, I bow to you, I bow to you. It is an act of humility in front of the universal creator and in front of the Guru, which is the divine wisdom that we will receive today. So I will sing the mantra and ask you to repeat the mantra Ananda. Start by taking a deep breath in. Namo, 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 Namo. 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 Namo, Namo, Namo. Namo, Namo, Namo. I bow to you, I bow to you. I bow to you, I bow to you. I bow to you. I bow to you. Namo, Namo, Namo. Take a deep breath in, up and out, and one deep breath in, hold, and notice the peace and quiet that is within you. When you're ready, you can open your eyes. Thank you. I always like to start with a short meditation because I find that there's nothing more powerful than a meditation to show you the stark difference between a busy mind and a quiet mind. I can talk for hours, but a short meditation teaches you so much more because it's something that you experience within yourself. So today, I want to keep this session quite light. I'd like to keep this session quite interactive. So at times I may ask you a question, so please feel free to just shout out the answers. Because this session really is for you and your lives, to find if there is any room for improvement in your daily life, and more importantly, in your mind. So I'm going to start with a question. And this is a question that a lot of your children may be asking you as well. Why are you religious? If you call yourself religious, if you call yourself spiritual, if you regularly attend the Gurudwara, the mandir, the church, the mosque, why do you do it? I'd love to hear someone, so feel free to just call out. Why do you go to the Gurudwara? Why do you practice your religion? What does it do for you? Just short answers. Inner peace.
Humility.
Humility. I didn't catch that. Discipline. Thank you.
Be a good human.
To be a good human, for gratitude. Why else?
Connect with God.
Connect with God. Let me say something. I'm hearing all the right answers, but I'm not hearing your real answers. Be more honest with yourselves. Why do you turn up? Don't give the answers you think other people want to hear. A way of lifestyle? To believe in God, because of your belief in God. Say again?
Cleanse yourself.
Cleanse yourself. We had an interesting answer here. You're told to do it. Okay, very good. You're told it's the right thing to do. Excellent. What else? Now we're getting some real answers, right? To feel protected. I like that one. What else? I didn't catch that. To feel divine presence. To be part of a community. That's a very important one.
Ask for forgiveness of our sins.
Forgiveness for your sins. Interesting.
To escape from your daily life.
Escape from your daily life. Some very interesting answers. Thank you for that. One last one. To? I didn't. Seek hope. Thank you so much. That's a very interesting one. So we've talked about giving thanks to God. One thing we didn't talk about, didn't come up, was getting your prayers answered. How many people can relate with that? That you have these inner desires when you come to the temples and the Gurudwaras, and there's a hope that maybe this is the right place to ask. And we give thanks for all the good things that we've received, but we come to the spiritual centers in the hope that maybe here God is listening a bit more. And we've received lots of good things, and if we give thanks, then hopefully God will keep giving us the good things. Isn't that true? And in return, we even do some seva. We volunteer some of our time as another way of showing thanks. And maybe it's another way of earning some more brownie points. Maybe God will see, oh, he did some more seva. He did some more work. I'll keep giving him his lifestyle. Maybe. Sometimes we go to the Gurudwaras and the temples because we feel that maybe if we're going to ask God for something, when we ask God for something in the temples, maybe the signal is a little bit stronger. God might listen a little bit more. I thought I can do it at home, but you know, if you come here, you get a good network connection. So these are some of the different things that we do. What I find is that this is quite normal for most people who practice some sort of religion. And some of us go our whole lives visiting the temples, the gurudwaras, the churches, the mosques, for these reasons. But we never really go much deeper than this. And there is a wisdom that we refer to as the Guru, the ultimate wisdom, the ultimate truth that is true for all mankind. And that wisdom teaches us that you need to go deeper. There's more than all of these answers that you've just given us. So today I want to introduce you to some of those ideas. How do you go deeper? Why should you go deeper? What's in it for you? And I'd like to summarize some of the Guru's teachings into 3 simple life rules. How do you go deeper? There are 3 things that the Guru wants you to learn in your life before time runs out. Because everybody's time is going to run out. And you have no idea when it's going to run out. We all like to think that we'll live to 100 years old. But the truth of the matter is, your time can be up much sooner than you know. And that isn't a curse on you, that's just the way life is. And there are 3 things that higher wisdom wants you to know before your time runs out. And I'm going to cover those 3 things with you today. And those 3 things are, number 1, the Guru wants you to know yourself, then to love yourself, and to free yourself. To know yourself, to love yourself, and to free yourself. So let's explore those ideas a little bit more. I can start by giving you an example that when I was young, everything in my life was laid out for me. From a child, I went into primary education. I didn't have a say in it. I just entered into the schooling system. You finish that, you go into secondary education. You finish that, you go into higher education, into university. As soon as I finished my university, within 6 weeks I had landed my first job. Reflecting upon it now, I realized that nobody had actually put any pressure on me to find a job. My parents weren't saying, as soon as you got your graduation, now go find a job. It was just something that was so ingrained in me because of the society and system that we're in, that it was a no-brainer. I just knew, I've done all this education to get a job, so now it's time to get a job. Once I got a job, within 6 months I was married. Once I got married, within 2 months we moved into our own home. And once we moved into our own home, within a couple of years we had our first child. Once we had our first child, within a year or two we had the second child. And it was only at that point, when I'd had the education, the higher education, the job, the marriage. Remember, nobody told me to do any of these things. It was just somehow something that I knew was the next stage of my life. I had the job, the marriage, the house, and the children. That was the first time in my life where I couldn't figure out what the next thing was, because I had everything. In fact, the only thing I could figure out that was a certainty was, I think the next thing is retirement. And that's when it dawned upon me, is this it? Have I done life now? Have I achieved all the things that I was meant to achieve? And it was yes, yes, yes to all the things. I got married, I got a job, I got a house. I got all those things. And I found myself in a little bit of a confused state. Now what? And it was only at that point that I realized there was still something missing. That all the things that I just knew automatically that I had to achieve didn't give me this one thing that I didn't know I was seeking, and that was fulfillment. And I was worried because I couldn't figure out what the next thing was to give me fulfillment. I thought I would get fulfilled when I had the higher education, when I had the good job, when I got promoted from those jobs, when I bought my own home and I had a nice car parked outside, and I had a lovely wife and I had lovely kids. I couldn't figure out, where's the fulfillment? That's the beginning for me of a really deeper spiritual journey. And when I started exploring higher wisdom, I realized that none of those things were ever going to give me something that was within me. Fulfillment was something else. And I just got confused and consumed by this busy lifestyle. I wonder if anyone can relate to that. Show of hands if anyone can relate to that feeling of not knowing where else is happiness supposed to come from. But by this point, I had got so many responsibilities that I dare not stop. Now at this point, I had everything, but I also had lots of responsibilities. So I was now driven to just continue this lifestyle that I had either built for myself or inherited, but somehow I landed in this place where I had all these responsibilities. And so I would go to work, and I'd come back home not feeling satisfied. And so because I wasn't satisfied with work, I would come home and I would find distractions to satisfy me. And for me, the big distraction that satisfied me was food. Anyone can relate to that? Any food lovers here? A few of you? Big food lovers, yeah? Food was my thing. That was the thing that satisfied me. And also entertainment. I love to be entertained. Movies, music, comedies. And I realized that I was just stuck in this, going to work, not feeling satisfied, coming home and just sedating myself with anything that could just keep me going. And once you've done a few of those small distractions, then you think, well, those small distractions aren't working, let's book a holiday, let's go abroad somewhere. And then you get consumed with a few weeks of planning a holiday. You go on holiday, and that's quite a stressful thing, you know. Anyone find holidays stressful? The planning of it, yeah? I'm the planner in the house, so I have to do everything. And I know by the time we get to the first day of the holiday, I've got everything booked, the flights, the car rental, the hotel, everything else. But there's actually no surprises when I go on holiday. I've read all the reviews, I know what the hotel rooms look like. Like, I've done all of my research. So when you go there, it's really just a holiday for everyone else. Because I'm just ticking off the box. Okay, have we landed? Have we got this? Have we done that? Have we booked the visa? Have we got this? All these things. So even holidays became another source of stress. And then I come back home from a week-long holiday, and then I'm not satisfied again. And then I need to have some other distractions. And this just became a continuous cycle. And I realized this is not right. Something needs to change. And the more I studied spiritual wisdom, I came across this idea that the reason you're not satisfied is because there's something you don't know. In the ancient spiritual text, they call it agyanta, agyan. not knowing, ignorance. There is something that you don't know. And what it is that you don't know yourself. That was the message that spiritual wisdom kept telling me again and again. You don't know what you are. You don't know what you are, but what you think you are is making you miserable. And that was intriguing to me. I thought I knew myself. What else don't I know about myself? I know where I come from. I know my family lineage. I know my heritage and my culture. I know my profession. I'm quite good at my job. I know my family. I know my friends. What don't I know about myself? I even know things about myself that nobody else knows about me. I know my deep, dark inner thoughts. I know how I pretend to be in front of other people and how I am behind closed doors. What don't I know about myself? But my Guru, the higher wisdom, was saying, there's something you don't know about yourself. And this is why the spiritual wisdom first says, before you know God, first know yourself. You have to know yourself. And the key thing that it says that you don't know about yourself is that you are connected to something much bigger than you. You don't know the real you. You're much more than what you think you are. And when I came across that, it actually reminded me of a story that I used to hear when I was a child. And the story is called The Lost Lion Cub. And it's about a small lion, a lion cub, who one day gets separated from the tribe. And he's wandering around and he's looking around and he can't find his mother, his father, he can't find his brothers and sisters, and he feels all lost. And he's wandering around, and eventually he finds a flock of sheep. And the flock of sheep take him in. They find this little lost cub and they take him in and they look after him. And so the lion cub starts living with the sheep. And he starts eating like them, and he starts acting like them and behaving like them. And he continues to grow up, eventually believing that he's a sheep. Every now and then, a wolf would come along. And whenever the wolf would come along to try and grab one of the sheep, all the sheep would run in fear. They would run and hide. And the lost lion cub would do exactly the same thing. He'd run and hide. And this just kept going on, year after year after year. So the lion became really big, but he still behaved like a sheep, and he thought he was a sheep. One day, a lioness was walking by, and she sees this flock of sheep, and she's about to hunt one as well. But she stops in her tracks when she sees that there's a big lion standing there amongst all the other sheep, and she's really surprised. As soon as the sheep see the lion, they all run. And she sees the big lion running away as well. She's really confused and she's really intrigued. So she goes after the lion. She grabs the lion and drags him away from the rest of the sheep. And the lion says, "Please don't hurt me, I'm only a sheep." And she's confused and perplexed by this. She drags the lion to a nearby lake and she shows the lion a reflection of himself. And she says, "You're not a sheep. Look who you really are. Look at your reflection." And the lion looks at the reflection in the lake, and he doesn't see all the other sheep that he's been surrounded by. He looks, and he's shocked. He sees a lion in his reflection. And then it dawns upon him, I'm not a sheep. I'm a lion. And as soon as he realizes it, he lets out this big, mighty roar. And from that day onwards, he knows who he really is. That is what spiritual wisdom is trying to teach you. You are not what you think you are. But everyone around you has convinced you of who you think you are, but you're something much greater. And you need somebody who knows what you really are to drag you out and show you what you really are. And this is what all spiritual wisdom is trying to do for you. It's not about a God. It's about you. There's a beautiful verse from Gurudwara that says, "Man, tu jog saroop hai apna mool pachan." Oh mind, You are the light of God. Recognize your own origin. But you know, when we hear these things, it sounds very nice. Sounds like really flowery words. Oh, I'm the light of God. Don't you know who I am? But the truth is, we don't know that. The spiritual master is none other than an ordinary human being who has recognized his divine light. He knows what he really is. That is the difference between us and spiritual masters. They know, we don't know. We might say these things. Yes, God is within all of us. God is within me. But we don't know that. We don't experience that. When we look in the mirror, we just see me. We don't see God. So how do we do that? First things first, you have to know yourself. You have to first know what you're actually looking out for. So this is lesson number 1, that the Guru and the Masters, the Bhagats, the Saints, all the Holy Scriptures are trying to get you to understand, is that you have forgotten your connection. You're much more connected, but what do you actually believe? You have a delusion, and the delusion is called me. If I ask you, who are you? You say, I am me. That's who I am. Of course I'm me. How do you know you're me? Because since the day I was born, I feel like me. I like to hear when people say that I am God, but I don't feel like I'm God. I feel like me. I don't feel like anyone else. So it's nice when the masters are teaching you these things, but we don't know how to then make that connection go further. The masters are saying, even if you don't believe it, even if you don't feel it, trust me, you're more than you think you are. But there's a false idea in our minds. I am me, and I am not you. I'm separate from you. I like you. I'll be kind to you. I'll be respectful to you. But I am me and you are you. Does that make sense? We're not connected. We're not the same. You are you and I am me. This is the number 1 delusion that's sitting in all of your minds. That you are you and I am me. You believe that you are independent and separate from everyone else and everything else in life. Isn't that so? I believe I'm separate from everyone else. I believe I'm independent from everyone else. And the masters called this kind of thinking being asleep. You're asleep. You're dreaming. This isn't your reality. You might think this is a reality. Show me your hands. Anyone who's had a dream that felt very, very real? I know I've had those dreams. But they feel so real. Have you ever had a dream when you know that you're not dreaming? You say, I'm not dreaming, this is real. There are times when I thought in my dream that I'm awake. And I looked around me and I said, but I'm not home, I'm somewhere else, I don't know where I am. I'm lost, I've got somewhere else. Sometimes dreams feel very, very real. This is also a dream. And it feels very, very real. And the gurus and the masters are saying, this is a dream, don't worry, I know how to wake you up. So you must know that this is a dream. And you are connected to something much bigger. The unlucky people in the world never awaken from this dream. If you're lucky, if the Guru gives you his grace, if the wisdom somehow manages to penetrate in your mind to actually awaken you, consider yourself one of the most lucky individuals. There are many, many people who are born and go through life and end their life never even hearing this wisdom, let alone starting the journey of awakening themselves. So how do you go about doing that? What it's really saying is that you are not you, you are connected. You are connected to something called God. I don't like that word God. I find it very difficult to connect with. Because whenever I think of a God, I think of some old man with a white beard sitting in the clouds. That's the one that we pray to, Babaji. Please bless me with this. Please give me this. Please give me that. Please protect my family. Please save this individual from bad health. Please can you give me one more thing? I know you gave me all those other things, but I thought of a new thing I want to ask you. That's that God that we look upstairs for, up in the skies. But the masters are saying, no, that's not what you're connected to. You're connected to something much more closer to you. And because the word God has become so difficult for us to understand, I like to find other ways that we can connect to it. And for me, the word nature is a lot easier to understand. If I ask you, are you connected with nature? You say, yes, I'm a part of nature. Is nature a part of me? Yes. We can also use words like life energy. Do you have life within you? Yes. Are you within life? Yes. So when you change terminology, it starts to create a different understanding within our minds. So, are you connected to nature? Yes. But sometimes we call nature Mother Nature. Yeah? But as soon as I use the term Mother Nature, you don't automatically think that there's a woman now sitting in the clouds. You know that nature has the quality of a mother. Nature gives birth to us. And eventually we will go back into nature. That's why it's like a mother. I like to say that we all have two mothers. Your biological mother and Mother Nature. When you were young, when you were born, you came out of your mother's womb. And you were connected to your mother through the umbilical cord. The day that you were born, the doctor cut the umbilical cord and you were separated from your biological mother. But you're still connected to Mother Nature. Your second mother, you're never disconnected from. You cannot be disconnected from this mother. When you were a baby, you drank from your mother's milk, and that only lasted a few months. But till today, you're still drinking from the air of Mother Nature. You cannot survive without this mother. You're connected. Now, instead of calling it Mother Nature, just change the word back to God again. You're connected to God. It's a part of you. You can never be disconnected from God. It's within you. It's the life source that's within you and all around you. It's an energy. It is something that is intangible, but it is undeniable. You are connected. How can you deny that you're connected to this thing? So, you have never been disconnected from God, but your mind has simply forgotten this connection. This is why we're asleep. We've forgotten this connection. But the truth is, this body is not your body. It's life's body. You did not create this body. You did not create whether you were going to be born as a male or a female. It's just a gift. And when you were born as a baby, you were only this big, and then nature made it grow and grow and grow. Did you make the body grow? No. Did you make your body age and grow old and make these white hairs come out? No, you didn't do that. Nature is doing it. So there is an active life force that's flowing through your body. You can't deny it. You're connected. This is not you. This is not your body. This is not your doing. Yet, the misconception within our mind is we say, this is me. I am this body. And the gurus and the masters say, no, this is not who you really are. You're something more than this. The body is just a vehicle that you're in. You're in the body. But the body is eventually going to go. That's not what you really are. So the realization is, this is not my original form. This is not me. This is not mine. And I can't stress this point enough. This point that I'm making is the only shift that you need to make within your mind. If you can begin for a moment to realize, this is not me. This mind, even I didn't create this mind. Did you create your mind? Did you create awareness within you? No, it's another gift, but it's not you. It's just there, The body is there, but it's not your body. This awareness, these thoughts are there, but it's not yours. It's here today, tomorrow it won't be there. It's not yours. Once you make that major shift within you, nothing will ever be the same. And the cause of all of your problems in life is simply that you believe, I am me. And the Guru's first and most important lesson is you really need to know yourself. This is not who you need to believe in. Once you start realizing that, you start peeling away the onions, layers. You know, like onion has many layers? In the same way, within you there are many, many layers. The first layer is, I am not this body. I am not these thoughts. I am not these emotions. I am not the family. I am not the color of my skin. I am not my gender. These are all these things, they're just here. That's not what you really are. You know, for many years I had this leather jacket that I bought, and it was one of those really weird jackets that I really liked the look of it, and every time I was about to go out, I said, I'm going to wear the leather jacket today. And I would stand in front of the mirror and I would put this jacket on, and I'd look at it and I said, the jacket looks really nice, but something feels odd. It doesn't work. And I don't think I ever actually wore that jacket outside the house. Every time I'd come up with the idea, I'm going to wear this jacket, I'd look in the mirror and something didn't fit. Something didn't quite feel right. The spiritual masters are the same people who realize that about their body. Something doesn't quite feel right. This doesn't feel like me. Something deeper. So I've always put that jacket away. So I'll try again in a couple of months. But I know this doesn't quite feel like me. If you can start to have that feeling about your own body, if you can start to have that feeling about your own mind, something doesn't quite fit right, that's the beginning of the spiritual journey where you say, okay, if this body doesn't feel right, if this life that I've created for myself doesn't feel like it's enough, then there must be something deeper, something more. That's what the masters, the gurus want you to learn. So, the first lesson is to know yourself. The second lesson is to now love your real self. And this needs understanding. Love yourself. I like myself. I think I'm quite a nice person. I like the person who I've become. I like my hobbies. I like my interests. I like the life that I've built for myself. And I quite like my personality. I think I'm a good person. I'm not mean to other people. I like myself. Do I love myself? I don't know. Maybe I do, maybe I don't. But I quite like myself. That is not the self that the spiritual masters want you to fall in love with. They say, no. Once you do phase 1, step 1, to know your real self, that I am not me, that in fact all that is here is a divine life force, a life energy that I can't quite touch, I can't quite describe. There's something deeper. Can you create a connection with that self? Not with the me or the body. Not when you look in the mirror you say, yeah, I think that looks quite good. I look good today. Yeah? Not that. Don't fall in love with that. The gurus are saying that's not the real you. That's the fake you. That's the you that you present to other people. That's not the real you. Not even your thoughts and your opinions and your ideas about how life should be. That's not the thing that you should fall in love with. Can you create a loving connection with something so deep? And most of us say, no, we can't, because I haven't felt it. I don't know what it feels like. How do I create that connection? The Guru says, oh, go back to step 1. You haven't finished lesson 1. You haven't known that real self. Once you know that real self, then you can actually start to fall in love with it. And the Guru says, love is the most important thing, but you have spent your life falling in love with all the wrong things. And I want to introduce you to a beautiful verse written by the 9th Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. If any of you have Gurbani on your phones, feel free to take it out. And the shabad that I want to go through with you, it's a very beautiful verse. It is on Ang, page 536. It's written by Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji. And he starts by saying, Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi. In this world, I have only seen false love. Jagat mein jhoothi dekhi. I've only seen false love in this whole world. Apne hi sukh syo sab lage, kya dara kya meet. Everyone is chasing their own happiness, either with their spouse or with their friends. Isn't that true of all of us? We're just chasing one happiness after another. Happiness with our family, happiness with our friends. Everybody is just lost in this chase of happiness. And that is what the Guru is saying. This isn't the real happiness. Mero sabe kehta hai, hits your bandhi cheek. Everyone says, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine, this is mine. Look how true the Guru's words are for even our lifestyle. Sometimes we like to think that this wisdom is ancient wisdom, how can it apply to our life? But only when you read it, you say, oh, that's actually my story that the Guru is saying. Mero sabe karta hai, sabe kehta hai. Everyone says, this is mine, hits your body or cheek. And they fixate their attention on their attachments. You fix your attention on your attachments. What are we attached to? We're attached to our children, we're attached to our families, we're attached to our bodies. We don't want our bodies to go wrong. We're attached to our life, the life that we've created for ourselves. We're attached to our opinions. You only need to have somebody challenge your opinion and then you get really angry. No, let me tell you what I think is true. You're attached to your own opinions. And then maybe after a couple of years, you realize, actually, I don't believe that anymore. I used to believe that, but now I believe this. So even your opinions aren't really fixed. They're changeable. Your body is certainly changing all the time. Your circumstances are changing all the time. Your family and your lifestyle is changing all the time. And the Guru is saying, why are you attaching to something that is fleeting, always changing, always moving? There's something more stable within you that never changes. Fall in love with that. But you don't do that. All of your attention all day is on this, and this. I know as a parent, as I wake up in the morning, my first thought is, have my children woken up yet? Are they going to get late for school? So you jump out of bed, quickly check, have the children woken up? Okay, quickly, can we get them ready for school? Have they packed their lunches? Have they got their school bags ready? Did they do their homework last night? We worry about it, the kids don't worry about it. Isn't that true? Your attention is always on the things that you're attached to. I have to drive my kids to the next class, I have to do this, I have to do that. And then you also check your phone for your emails. Maybe my manager or my boss has sent me an email. Anyone is guilty of checking their emails first thing in the morning? Anyone guilty of checking their social media first thing in the morning? Yeah? Maybe I put a post up last night, let me see how many likes I got, how many comments I got. Yeah? We're attached to these things and our attention is lost in these things. And the Guru is saying, that's not where you need to place your attention. Antakal sangi nahe kau, eh acharaj hai lead. But in the very end, none of these things are going to stay with you. Antakal sangi nahe kau. In the end, none of these are going to be your friends. None of these things are going to accompany you in that very last moment. You will be alone. Look how strange this system is. Look how strange the system is that we spend our whole life attaching to something that is not going to stay with you. Man murkha, aju nahi samjhat? Oh foolish mind, have you still not understood? How long are you going to keep doing this? Sometimes the Guru uses harsh words. Man murkha, oh fool, aju nahi samjhat? Haven't you understood yet? Sikh de haaryo neet. How many times can I keep explaining this to you? I've become tired of explaining to my own mind that I shouldn't place all of my attention on these things. Nanak paujal par pare, jo gaave prabh ki. Nanak says, only those people are going to learn how to swim across the ocean of life and not drown in the ocean of life. There's only one type of person who's going to swim across the ocean of life. Jo gaave prab ke liye. The ones who sing divine praises, the ones who fall in love with the divine essence, the divine spirit, they don't drown in life, because the truth is, we're all drowning. We're drowning, we're lost in these things. And the truth is, we don't know how to swim. What do you want me to do? Should I give up caring about my children? Should I not get them ready for school? Should I not feed them? You think the gurus want you to just let your children starve? That's not what they want. They say, no, you keep doing that, but you have to do it with higher awareness. That you know that none of this stuff is real, none of this stuff is going to go with me. There's something higher, that even when I'm doing my duties, I have to focus on something higher at the same time. Nanak says, this ocean of life can be crossed over, but it's only crossed over by those people who find divine love, who spend their time, while they're doing their daily duties, while they're fulfilling their responsibilities, they're constantly remembering, this is you, this is you, this is you. This is not me, this is Vaheguru, this is God. This is Ram, 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 Allah, Allah, Allah. Tu. That is the only difference. There's not a big difference between us and the spiritual masters. The masters also got married. They also had children. They also had jobs. They also had to go out and collect food and earn money. They're not just sitting in a cave. So we have to not give up our lifestyle. We have to give up our mindset and still continue the same lifestyle. So the question is, can you have a personal connection with God? Can you really create a connection? The truth of the matter is, most of us cannot create a connection with God. It feels too alien. It feels too separate. I like the sound of this thing called God, but I don't know what it is. How many times can I try? How many times can I sit and meditate and say God's name, and then after 5 minutes I realize nothing's changed? I don't feel it. I don't know where to go. What do you do if you can't feel your connection with God? Go back to step one. Do the work that is needed to actually know the real self. Know yourself, step one. Then you can only fall in love with it. You cannot fake this thing. You can't fake love for God. You have to know what it is. Don't worry, we'll get into that. Because some of you say, go on then. How do you do it? Don't worry. We're getting to that bit as well. So, simply understand that you can start to create a connection. Let's go back to this example, because we don't know how to create a connection with God. But let's go back to the example of nature. Have you ever been walking out in nature and you feel something? You feel a sense of wow. Especially if you go for a walk within beautiful nature, maybe in a forest, maybe you see a big waterfall, maybe you're out on a starry night and something takes your breath away. And it seems to just quieten the mind and you think, oh, this is beautiful. There's some power here that's created this thing. And you feel very small. You feel very humble. I'm nothing compared to this beautiful creation. If you ever do that, I want you to go back to that term, Mother Nature. And when you're in that experience, simply utter the word Ma, Mother. And notice this huge sense of love that will well up within you. Don't just go and look at nature and say, wow, that's nice, and take a couple of photos and a few selfies. Just use the word Mother. This is my mother. This is where I come from. And then all of a sudden you'll notice your heart start to open and you'll feel it. Can somebody feel it now? You can feel it just by using the word Mother. See the power of words? The power of Shabad, the power of the Naam. Having the right words, accompanied with the right understanding, and all of a sudden you say, oh, I actually am connected to this thing. This is a part of me. This is my mother. There is a beautiful mantra that we can use from Gurbani that says, Tu mera pita, tu hai mera mata. So simple. You are my mother, you are my father. You are my protector, tu mera rakha. So many times, wherever I go. So why should I feel worried? Why should I feel afraid? You're here. You're doing all this. You know how connected you are to God? How connected you are to life? Life is so beautifully connected to you and so kind and gracious to you that you don't even have to think about breathing. Life is breathing for you. You are connected to a life support machine, which is called your breath. Can you imagine if you had to remember to breathe? We'd all be dead by now, right? We'd get lost in something else and then we'd forget to breathe and we'd just fall. God has said, you don't even need to remember to breathe. I will do that for you. But remember, one day I'm going to take this breath back. One day, I'm giving all of this breath to you, but every breath that I give you, you have to give it back to me. Because it's not yours. It's mine. You're connected to life. So you have to know yourself, you have to feel this loving connection, this feeling of I see you, I know you, you're here, you're undeniably here, and I love you, and I'm grateful for you. So the second lesson after know yourself is to love yourself. And the third lesson is to free yourself. And this is the how. Firstly, what are you freeing yourself from? You're freeing yourself from the delusion that I am you. The false thinking that we have, the wrong idea that we have about myself, that I am me. Once you start getting this spiritual wisdom, you realize, which part of this is me? I didn't do any of this stuff. This is not me, this is you, thank you. This is you, this is you, this is you. So you start to free yourself from the delusion that I am me. We can use the word ego. The Guru uses the word whole man, myself, me. Mero sabe kehte hain. Yeah? That constant thing that we like to consume ourselves with, which is me. What about me? What about me? What do I need to do next? And remember, there's a very fine balance. None of you have to give up your jobs. None of you have to give up your responsibilities. You don't have to start wearing religious clothes and maybe shave your head and go live as a monk up in a cave somewhere. Or go join an ashram. You don't have to do that. Guru Nanak created a system while you're living, while you're working, while you're carrying on your duties. He said, no, I'll show you enlightenment here in the real world. No disrespect to the monks who are living in the caves, good for them. But most of us aren't living in caves. Most of us aren't living in ashrams. We're living in our homes, in our family lives, in our jobs. There is a way for you to know yourself and to love yourself and to free yourself amongst all of those things. You know, Guru Nanak had a job. Guru Nanak worked. For many years he was a farmer. That's not an easy job. He showed you this is possible whilst working. And we have to now learn from the people who actually did it. There are people who've done this. We call them masters. I like the word mentor. Maybe they should become our mentors. If there's any skill that you want to learn, the best way is to shadow a mentor. If you want to excel in business, go and hang around with people who are very successful, entrepreneurs. If you want to learn an instrument, go and spend time with somebody who can mentor you and teach you how to play that instrument. If you want to free yourself, go and spend time with those who freed themselves. So these mentors we need in our life, and we need to know what we're freeing ourselves from. You're freeing yourself from your negative thoughts, from your delusional ideas of yourself, from your frustrations, from your habits. These are the things that you can free yourself. Now, how do you free yourself? There are 3 more things you need. Number 1, you need this wisdom. You can't do it on your own. You need the Guru. You need the guidance of this higher wisdom. All higher wisdom is called Guru. that which can take you from your own ignorance to your own divine state. The word Guru means darkness to light. From your own darkness to your radiant self, you need that mentor, that wisdom, the one who knows. Number one, you need the Guru. And you need to have this all the time, daily access to this wisdom. In the Guru's tradition, in the Gurbani, there's a beautiful analogy that they've given. And they said the Guru is a boat. Most of us are drowning, the Guru is the boat. And while I thought I understood that analogy, very recently I thought of a different way of understanding this. You see, in the old days, if you had to cross a major river, you didn't just drive your car over the express highway, you didn't just have all of these bridges. How did you cross from one side to the other? There used to be a boatman or a ferryman. They would come over to your side of the shore, you would get on the boat, and you would go to the other side of the shore, and you'd give him whatever his fee is. Now go back to this analogy of how important a guru is. If you're here and there's a big river and you need to get to the other side, and there's no other way to cross, how important is that ferry? Is that boat? In fact, it's impossible for you to get to the other side without the boat. You know, otherwise when we use the analogy today, if you go on a nice boat ride, you get on the boat, you drive around, you see the nice scenery, and you get dropped off at the same place because you parked your car there. Right? So we don't have the same example today. That word boat doesn't have the same depth and meaning. So for me, I'd like to retranslate that word boat to bridge. The Guru is the bridge. If you're standing here and you need to get to the other side, there is no other way except to get onto the bridge. That's how vital this higher wisdom is, that you're standing on the side of the ego mind. And the Guru is saying there is another side, the enlightened mind is over there, but you must get onto the bridge. The Guru is the bridge. Without the bridge, you'll stay on this side. So the number one thing you need to free yourself from your ego mind is you need to have a relationship with this wisdom. There's no two ways about it. Every day, access this wisdom. If you are lucky enough to have this yearning within you that says, I need to get to the other side, I know there's more to life. I know there's something higher, you need the boat. Number two, you need the community of other people who are also heading in that same direction. I don't know if you've ever tried in a very busy crowd that you're trying to walk one way and the whole crowd is walking the other way. It's very difficult. But then if anyone's been to another kirtan and you get pushed along all in the same direction because the whole crowd is going in the same direction, you know, even if I'm making no effort, the crowd is making me go in this direction. Yeah? So, number two, you need Sangat. The right people to surround yourself with who are also going in the same direction. The word Sangat is a very beautiful word. Sangha means being close to. So the Guru is saying, who are you close to? Whoever you're close to is going to determine how your life turns out. There's a beautiful phrase in Punjabi, Jaisi Sangat, Taisi Rangat. And it says, the people you surround yourself with determine the color of your life. Jaisi Sangat, Taisi Rangat. The people that you are connected with determine the color of your life. What your life is going to be like is determined by who the people are that you're close to. The word Sangat can also be extended to more than people. Because when you wake up in the morning, the first thing that you do, and most of us do, and I'm guilty of it, is you go on social media. You pick up your phone. So who you follow on social media is now your Sangat. They're determining how your life turns out. I remember many years ago, when I was slightly younger, I wanted to go to the gym and build a nice big body, go training. And so I started following all these social media influencers. You know, the ones that teach you about your diet, about your health, about this and that. It never really paid off, but at least I tried. At least I followed those people on social media. But why did I do that? Because I thought if I'm going to go on social media, I'd rather be constantly reminded about my own personal health goals. Yeah? Anyone done that? When you want to achieve something new, you start following the right people on social media. So ask yourself, who are you following? They are determining how you think. What music are you listening to? That's also your Sangha. That's also determining how you think. Yeah? If you're listening to music, yeah? Glass. Today I want to drink, today I want to get drunk. Then you will get drunk. Don't be surprised, that's how it works. That's literally how it works. If you're going to sing songs like that, then you're going to act like that. No judgment, that's just how it works. If you're going to be singing songs of romance all the time, then you're always going to be looking for a life partner. If you're watching Bollywood movies all the time, then you're going to want your life to become like a Bollywood movie. Yeah? Notice there's no judgment here. I'm not judging you. I'm asking you to judge yourself. Ask yourself, who am I following? And why has my life become the way it has? It's because my Sangha. What news are you consuming every day? That's also shaping your mind. So your Sangha is not just the people who are in the temples. It's everyone that you're hanging around with, which is why the Guru says, time and time again, be very cautious of who you hang around with. So you need the Guru, you need the Sangha, and the final thing that you need is practice. This takes practice. You can't just attend a seminar. You can't just come once. This takes dedication, just like learning an instrument. Thinking that you're going to become enlightened by simply going to the temples or the Gurudwaras is like going to a concert and believing that you're going to be able to sing like the professional singers. No. You can be inspired by them, but you've got to go home and do the practice. You're not going to be able to play the instrument like your favorite musician until you go home and put in the work and the time and the effort. And you know that of your own life. Anybody who's tried to learn a musical instrument, you know it takes dedication and time. What if your life became music? What is the practice that you need to do? What do you need to do to let go and free yourself from your own habits so that you can be free of your wrong thinking and also be free of your pain and suffering? There is so much pain and suffering in our life, and the Guru only wants what's best for you. Notice the Guru is not trying to take anything away from you. Because how many times do we feel that religious life and spiritual life is really just a burden? I've got so many responsibilities, now you're telling me I have to do this as well? No, nobody's telling you anything. You have to decide, is this something that you want in your life? Because what you're getting in return is peace, inner peace, a sense of fulfillment, a sense of connection, a sense of feeling like, I know why I was born. I was born for this. Not that you're constantly thinking, I was born to be this profession or that profession, and then you do it for a few years, then you get bored, then you want another promotion, then you want this house or this car and these clothes and something else and something else. Were you born for this rat race? But bear in mind, the Guru is saying you're going to have to carry on those things, but you can do them with a higher mind. You can do them with peace. You can do them with a smile on your face. You can do them without the pain that comes when things happen in life that don't go your way. You can be free of all those things. So know yourself, love yourself, and free yourself. And this takes time, and this takes practice. So what do you say? Shall we do some practice? Let's do a meditation. Yeah? So as before, let's put everything down. Close your eyes, get into a comfortable position. And simply focus on your breathing. notice immediately what your mind starts doing. Some of you will start thinking about the things that you're attached to. Your attention will start going to your attachments. Some of you will start thinking about your opinions. I don't like meditation. Meditation is too difficult. I've tried it before. This is not really what Gurudwara teaches. I know more. When is this guy going to stop talking? Notice what your mind is doing. And as soon as you hear the chatter of your mind, realize that those thoughts are going to keep coming. Don't hold on to those thoughts and simply let them float away. Bring your attention back to your breathing. See if you can keep your attention on one place. Your attention just on the breath, noticing what breath feels like. And every time another thought comes, don't fight it. Simply let that thought float away like a cloud and bring your attention back to your breath. And in this meditation, we're going to practice letting go of ourselves, letting go of all the false things that we believe that we are, and getting to know our true selves. And I want you to imagine that you're going for a walk in nature. And as you're going for a walk in nature, you have a very heavy bag that you're carrying on your back, with really big rocks and heavy stones weighing you down. Imagine what that feels like. Trying to go for a walk in nature, trying to enjoy your day, but having so much weight that you're carrying, weighing you down and burdening you. This is what your mind is like. Your mind is full of many different thoughts. Very heavy thoughts. And because your mind is so full, you can't do anything but put all your attention on these things that are weighing you down. Just like when you're going for a walk in nature, you can't enjoy the nature because all of your attention is on the heavy bag that you're carrying. It's ruining your experience. In the same way, the burdens of your mind are ruining your experience of life. And as you're going for a walk now, you're walking uphill, still carrying that heavy bag. And it's becoming even heavier. And then you take a moment to pause and you say, I can't carry on like this anymore. I can't keep carrying these things. And so that's what this meditation is about. We're going to try to lift some of those heavy burdens that are in our minds. And I want you to imagine that all of your thoughts are like very heavy stones and rocks that you're carrying. So for now, the first stone that I want you to think about, the first set of thoughts that I want you to think about, is all your priorities in life, all your commitments. I want you to just gather all those thoughts together, all the things that you have to do, your work, commitments, all the things that you keep yourself busy with all day. Have I done this and have I done that? I want you to somehow bring all of those thoughts together, collect them together as though they're one heavy rock. You don't have to individually label or think of all those things. Just bring worries about work into the forefront of your mind. And now I want you to imagine that you're taking that heavy rock, and I want you to picture yourself lifting those heavy thoughts out of your mind. So we're going to take a deep breath in. As you take a deep breath in, you're going to imagine yourself lifting this heavy thought of all the worries to do with work and responsibility out of your mind. So take a deep breath in and picture yourself lifting those heavy thoughts above your head and hold them above your head. And as you breathe out, you're placing those thoughts down by your side. All the thoughts to do with work and commitments and responsibilities, you've taken a deep breath in, you've lifted them out of your mind, you've carried them above your head, and you gently place them down on the floor by your side. Now I want you to imagine all the thoughts to do with family. Family and loved ones, all the people that you're close to, and all the things that you worry about them. Things that you have to do with them, your daily commitments, your daily connections with them. Everything to do with the people that are close to you in your life. And again, gather all those thoughts together like it's one big heavy rock. And then we take a deep breath in. And as we take a deep breath in, we're lifting all those thoughts above our heads. Hold it. And as we breathe out, we're placing all concerns and worries to do with family by our side. Notice that we're not throwing these rocks away. They're still there. We're simply saying that right now I don't want to carry that in my mind just for a few moments. I know that they're there. I know that I'm going to have to pick them up again and carry on my responsibilities. But right now, I just want to free myself from those heavy thoughts. Now I want you to think about all the worries that you have to do with your own health and your own body. Your self-image, things that you don't like about your body, things that are not going well, things that you wish were better. Everything to do with the health and the body. Gather all those thoughts together. And once you have all concerns to do with your body, your fitness, your health, your medical conditions, everything to do with that, again, gather them all so they become one big heavy stone and lift them out of your head as you take a deep breath in. Imagine yourself lifting those thoughts and worries. Deep breath in, lift them above your head, hold them high above your head, and breathe out and gently place them on the floor. So you've removed all thoughts to do with work, commitments, family and friends, health, body. Notice if your mind feels that little bit lighter. You know those thoughts are there. You're going to pick them up later, but right now, notice, does your mind feel a little bit lighter? A little bit of relief from not having to carry those heavy thoughts all the time? Now I want you to bring to the forefront of your mind all thoughts to do with finance, wealth, and money concerns. Everything that you worry about to do with your finances. And as you're breathing gently, you're going to collect all of those thoughts to do with money worries, and earning more money and not having enough money, and owing other people money, all those things, all those worries and thoughts that you carry in the back of your mind, wishing you had more, wishing you'd earned more throughout your life, wondering what life would be like if you earn more or if you run out of money. I want you to gather all those worries and concerns, bring them to the forefront of your mind, and then take a deep breath in. Imagine yourself lifting those thoughts high above your head and gently placing them down and freeing yourself just for a few moments from those thoughts as well. next thoughts are all thoughts to do with the future, things that you've yet to achieve, things that you hope life is going to turn out like. All thoughts to do with the days still to come, the uncertainty, the not knowing, the concerns, the hopes and desires that hopefully life will turn out like this. The future, the unknown, the fear of the unknown. Gather all those thoughts together, bring them to the forefront of your mind. And then we're going to imagine lifting all of those thoughts high above our heads. As we take a deep breath in, lift those thoughts high up above your heads and gently place all thoughts to do with the future by your side. Be free from those thoughts. Notice if your mind feels lighter. And the next set of thoughts that we're going to bring to the forefront of our mind is everything to do with the past. All that you know about yourself, every experience that you've ever had, all the things that have happened that have brought you to where you are today. All the things that shouldn't have happened, the things that you regret, the things you wish had turned out differently, and all the good times and the happy memories and the things that you're glad have happened. Things that people have said to you, the pain and emotional hurt that you've experienced. This is a big one. Notice how big this rock is. And when you have all the thoughts to do with your past and the way life turned out, and the way things could have turned out, and what shouldn't have happened, and what did happen, who you are today, all those thoughts, all the memories. Take a deep breath in and have the courage to lift all of these thoughts high above your head, everything to do with your past, and breathe out and place it by your side. Your mind should feel a lot lighter by now. Remember, we're not throwing those thoughts away. We're not changing any of them. We're simply saying, I'm allowing myself permission not to carry those thoughts and letting those thoughts weigh me down for a few moments. You're allowing yourself the opportunity to rest. The next thought is all thoughts to do with your spiritual aspirations, your spiritual goals, the ideas of enlightenment, your spiritual opinions. This is how enlightenment is, this is what it isn't, this is the right way, this is the wrong way, these are the things that I've managed to achieve spiritually, these are the things that I haven't managed to do, I'm a nobody, I'm a sinner, I'm a great spiritual practitioner, I'm a teacher. All thoughts to do with your spiritual aspirations and goals and ideas. Lift them up as you take a deep breath in and really empty yourself of all of these thoughts and place them down by your side as you breathe out. And now you can imagine yourself standing at the top of a hill and you've let all of these heavy rocks out of your hand and you feel quite right. But then you realize that there's one more thing, one final thing, that I'm still here, I'm still standing. And imagine that you're seeing, as you're standing, you look around and you see a nice patch of grass on the ground and you say, just for a few minutes, I don't even want to stand anymore. I don't even want that burden of just being here. I want to free myself even of that smallest burden. And that burden in your mind is the idea that even if I free myself of all my thoughts, what is left is still this feeling, me. I am me. I may not have all these heavy thoughts in my mind, but I'm still here. And just as you would lay down on a cozy patch of grass and free yourself from that, I want you to give yourself permission to free yourself even from the idea that I am me. I am here. This is me inside my mind. So take a deep breath in and lift that idea and free yourself. Give yourself permission that even the idea that I am me, just for a moment I'm going to let go of that. And as you breathe out, you simply imagine yourself lying down and being totally free. I don't even want to stand. I don't even want the idea of me to be in my mind. Just be free. Notice the peace and quiet in your own mind. Notice how good it feels. It's not a very excited, happy state. It's a very peaceful, calm, quiet, silent space. And even though you've let go of all of these things, even the idea of me, life is still flowing through you. Life is still here. You don't have to do anything, life is taking care of everything. It's breathing for you, it's circulating the blood around your body, it's making the air flow, it's making the sun shine. Life has always been here. Just as though you thought you were carrying the bag full of heavy rocks and you thought you were carrying the weight of your own body and standing up, for a moment you get an appreciation that I thought I was carrying all these things, but I'm standing on the ground. The ground is the one that's really carrying all these things. It's holding all of us up. And in the same way, I thought that I was carrying all these burdens in my mind, and these heavy rocks, and this idea that I am. But underneath the I am and all the heavy opinions and thoughts and worries, there is life. There is the flow of life. But behind everything that I thought was me, there is something greater. This life energy, this life force, this universal divine spirit, keeping life going, even when I'm not paying attention to it. And we can give this life force a name. See what name comes to your mind. What name will you call this life spirit who has always been there behind your thoughts, behind your worries, keeping life going, keeping life flowing through you? What name will you call it? When Guru Nanak experienced this, the only name he could come up with was wow. Wow. And he said to his Guru, to his higher wisdom, he said, Guru, wow, this is what was hiding all along? Why, Guru? Wow, Guru, this is what I can now see you were trying to show me. This is you. This is God. God is flowing through me. Life is flowing through me. What word do you use for the sense of reverence for this life spirit? It has been called by many names. It can be called God, Yahweh, Allahu Akbar. God is the greatest. Ram. Simply something that you appreciate. Notice that how it is breathing for you. It is connected to you, it is breathing for you, you don't have to do anything. When you put food in this body, this life force does all the work for you, digests the food, breaks it down, gives you all the nourishment and nutrients that you need, gets rid of all the waste that it doesn't need. Life is doing this. The Divine Spirit, God, is giving you air, giving you warmth, giving you sunlight, giving you nourishment. All the while, wow, this is happening without me even noticing. Now I'm noticing. Before I was noticing all the other things that I'm distracted with in life. Now I'm noticing. Waheguru, God, Divine Spirit, Universe, Life Force. Whether I'm religious or whether I'm spiritual or whether I'm an atheist, this is you. This is still happening for all of us. And then you have nothing more to say but thank you. Thank you. Why? Why? Allah, Allah, Allah. Boom, boom. Thank you. Now bring your attention back to your breathing. Notice that breathing is still going on, gently moving in and out. I want you to start bringing some movement into your body, start to wiggle your toes. Bring some movement into your feet and your legs. Start moving your hands, your fingers. Get some movement in your arms, in your shoulders, in your neck, in your head. Bring your attention back to your breathing. Notice that while your eyes are closed, your ears are still working and still hearing the sounds around you in the room. Your eyes are still working and bringing light from the outside world into your body. Your breath is still flowing. Whether you acknowledge it or not, the Spirit of life is always there, protecting you, looking after you, feeding you, nourishing you, aging you. And it is completely content. It's not asking anything from you. Your mind has simply forgotten. So now, you're just giving yourself permission to remember. Take a few deep breaths in and out. Deep breath in, even deeper. And out. And then one last deep breath in, and we're going to hold the breath. Hold. 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 And let out that air. And when you're ready, you can bring your attention back to the room and gently open your eyes. Notice the stillness within you. When you give yourself permission to remember something that was always there, that is always there. Notice the shift in your mind. Thank you everyone for joining me for that. I think it's time we take a short break, and then we'll join yourselves again in just a few minutes. Thank you.
Satpal for a very informative session. We will take a 15-minute break and reconvene after that for an interactive Q&A. Thank you. Okay. The second session consists of an interactive Q&A. Kindly ask whoever has a question, please raise your hands. A mic carriers will come to you. Let us not keep on repeating the same or similar questions again. Hydration point and the donation box for Nanak Nam is at the rear. So thank you, and once again a welcome by Satpal Singh and Hamid. Thank you.
So if I just introduce myself, my name is Hamid Khan, wife of Sahib Singh, last 18 years. We've got 2 boys, aged 13 and 14, and I'm a dentist by profession, so I don't normally do this, so please excuse my nerves and shaky voice. And so we're going to go, ideally, we'll start with a question that's been sent in by the Sunday, and then we'll go to the left-hand side for a question, and to the right, and then back to the question that's been sent in, so we can just go around. So if you do have a question, please keep your hand up until hopefully one of the roaming mics comes to you, and then they'll wait with you to be available to ask this question when it comes down to your side. So the first question: what is the difference between religion and spirituality?
Thank you. So that's a very good question to start with. The question is, what is the difference between religion and spirituality? There should be no difference between religion and spirituality. Religion should be spiritual, and spirituality should be religious. But this isn't what we see in the world. In the ideal world, one should lead to the other. Religion should always lead to a more spiritual life. So let's look a little bit more about what we mean by these things. I like to think that it's a bit like a relationship. You know, when Harmeet and I were first getting to know each other, when you're dating someone, then you put on your best clothes and you take them out for a nice meal, you've got all the nice perfumes, you maybe buy them some flowers, you're on your best behavior. And I see religion a little bit like that. But the idea of that is that it eventually grows into something deeper, which is a loving relationship. And for me, religion is a bit like the early stages, where you're doing all the practices, but in the early stages, they feel a little bit restrictive. Now, when you're dating, they don't feel restrictive. They feel like they have a very clear purpose. But if you don't have that purpose, then it feels like a restriction. So if you know why you're doing any religious practices is to eventually get to a deeper, loving connection with that spirit of life, then all of the religious traditions make sense. Whatever religion you're practicing. The rules, the discipline, the lifestyle makes sense as long as you know what you're trying to get. Now, if my wife and I go out for a nice meal, I still put on nice clothes and we still make an effort. We make a reservation at a nice restaurant. But at this point, it's no longer a restriction. I don't feel like I have to do it. This has now become part of the lifestyle. It's become something that it actually creates a nice evening out, a nice atmosphere for us to go and have an evening out. In fact, it's quite nice to get away from the home and do something that feels a little bit formal. Otherwise, you sit on the dining table and you put the TV on and you have a pizza in the oven or something. You're still eating a meal, but it's sometimes nice to do a bit more. So I think for me, your religion should always lead to spirituality. If it doesn't lead to spirituality, then it becomes rules and it becomes restriction. It becomes a set of disciplines that you have to follow because your elders have told you to, not ever knowing what is the deeper connection, what is the thing that it's supposed to be leading to. And if religion doesn't lead to spirituality, then religion can feel restrictive, and that's where religion starts to bind you down. I like to say that religion binds you down and spirituality sets you free. So what is more important? It's a great question, follow-up question. Is it more important to be religious, or is it more important to be spiritual? Well, if one leads to the other, then you need step one in order to get to step two. If religion never leads to spirituality, then it becomes rules. It becomes something that you're restricted by. Religion must always lead to spirituality. It must always lead to a deeper connection. Your end goal always has to be spirituality. But in the early stages, especially when you're trying to teach religion, rules and discipline to children, you have to show them what the prayers are, what the routines are, what the protocol is. But you have to ask yourself, why am I doing it? Am I still stuck in the religious side of it because my elders told me to do it? Am I still doing it out of a sense of fear? Am I doing it just out of a sense of community to fit in with all the other people who are following the religion? Or am I able to take it to the next level? If it does lead to a deep, loving spiritual connection, then even if you're doing the religious rules, they don't feel restrictive. They don't feel like rules. They feel like an act of love. So spirituality is the ultimate goal. Being free from your ego, being free from your community and your attachments, and your ideas of right and wrong, you have to be free from all of those things. So it's a very important understanding that you have to go from level 1 to level 2. And to me, spirituality is always the highest level, where you don't feel tied down to these things, but you know the real reason why you're doing them. And you do them out of love, not out of restriction.
And if I would just add to that and say that with our children, with our boys, we are very aware that they need a foundation. So even though, like yesterday, we were saying that they think in English, we think in English, and it's important for them to understand what they're reading. But as they're growing, it's important to have a foundation. So they go to a Sikh school, they do Prakash, they do Kirtan, they're doing Sandhya, in the morning when they're doing the Dasar, they've got Japji Sahib, they're learning it, they're learning to the Baniya. Our older son, Ajay, he just said a couple of weeks ago, maybe next Vaisakhi, I'm thinking of taking Amrit, so he's working towards that. So although we know that we need to provide them the English so that they can really feel and understand what the message is, the foundation that you build, especially in younger years, that stays with you forever. So it's really important to build that with the kids.
Yeah, these religious practices are not to be taken lightly. They are very important. They teach you what the various different practices are in order to get to that higher spiritual connection. Remember, these didn't just come out of nowhere. There's a reason why all the religions have a certain routine, have certain prayers that you do, certain things that you restrict yourselves from acts, from restricting yourself from doing certain acts. And what tends to happen is that at a young age we teach this to our children, but we ourselves never grow out of it. And remember, when I say grow out of it, I don't mean you grow out of doing them. I mean you grow out of the reasons for doing them. When you're younger, you do them because you're children, you're being told as children, this is what you need to do. But what we try to do with our children is we always try to explain to them in English, in a language that they understand, this is what it means. Try and feel it, try and see if you can have a loving connection. Try and see throughout your day if you can have gratitude, rather than worrying about the things that haven't happened, you're being grateful for the things that have happened in your life. So you try and explain to them that this is what these prayers mean, this is what these routines mean. This is why you look a certain way, so that you're reminding yourself to constantly live this certain lifestyle. But bear in mind, if it doesn't lead to that, what tends to happen more often than not is it becomes a sense of tribalism. My religion is better than your religion. In my religion, even if we're not better, sometimes we say, oh, all religions are the same. But in my religion, we do this is the group that we belong to. It just becomes a way of separating people. My group versus your group. You are this religion, I am this religion. But remember what Guru Nanak teaches. He says that ultimately we have to get to a point where we see everyone as one. In the Japji Sahib it says, Ain Bhakti Sagal Jamanti. The highest spiritual tradition is to see oneness in all mankind. Sagal Jamanti, to have a brotherhood with everyone and everything. That is your highest religion. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, Manas ki jaat sabhe ek pehchane. See everyone as one. That's the spirituality, where you break boundaries, where you break barriers. Bhai Kanhaiya Ji was a perfect example. If you don't know the story, there's a story when Guru Gobind Singh Ji was in a battle. The Sikhs were fighting the Mughal forces. And there was one person whose duty it was to feed water and to bandage the wounds of the Sikh army. His name was Bhai Kanhaiya Ji. And when he went up to the battlefield to heal the wounded and to give them water, he started doing it to all the fallen soldiers. And the other Sikh soldiers would look at him and they got very angry. What are you doing? We've just been fighting this enemy and you're healing them. And they went back to Guru Gobind Singh Ji. They said, Guruji, look what he's doing. We've just spent the whole day fighting in battle. Guru Gobind Singh Ji says, call Bhai Kanhaiya Ji, and he asks him, why are you doing this? Bhai Kanhaiya Ji says, I can't help it. Every single person that I'm looking at, I see your face. I don't know who is a Sikh and who is a Mughal. I don't know who is a friend and who is an enemy. And this is the state that you must get to. Na ko gairi, nahi begana, sagala sang humko banya. No one is your best friend. No one is your enemy. Create a brotherhood with everyone. That's what religion is meant to be. Otherwise it really does become a way of segregating people. And we must be aware of that. Any religion that makes you hate another person isn't a true religion.
They say there's higher self and God. How different are they from each other, if at all? Or if they're connected, how are they connected?
Thank you. So the question is that I've heard that the higher self, there's a higher self and then there is God. What is the connection between the two? And how different are they? There is no difference between the higher self and God. The higher self is the God self. Because what is the lower self? The lower self is you. So sometimes we get confused when people say, I am now enlightened. I am enlightened. If you can utter the words, I am enlightened, you are not enlightened. Simple. Because the beginning of that phrase is I am. And I am is the ego. I am is the ego self. It is the lower self. Enlightenment is, but it's nothing to do with you. You are the ego. You are the lower self. You are the person who believes I am me. The higher self is one who realizes that there is nothing between me and God. There's no difference. And every spiritual master has got to that stage where they said there is no difference between me and God. In fact, me is not here anymore. Now all that there is God. Bhagat Kabir Ji, Bhagat Ravidas Ji, Guru Nanak Dev Ji, Guru Gobind Singh Ji. It comes in the Islamic tradition. Mansur, who was crucified for saying Anal Haq, I am God. that he was not saying it out of ego, he was saying it as a statement of fact. This is God now, I realize all this is God. One of the Mahavakyas of the Veds, Aham Brahmasmi. I am that Brahman, that divine spirit. Kabir ji, Bhagat Ravidas ji, Tohi Mohi, Mohi Tohi, Antar Kaisa. I am you and you are me. Where is the difference? Gurbani goes as far as saying, Tat Niranjan, Jot Sabai, Soham, Ved na koi jiv. That life force, that Niranjan, Jot Sabai, that is the light in everyone, Soham. I am that. Ved na koi jiv. There's no difference between me and that. But until you know categorically, experientially, 100% that your ego has disappeared, you don't have the right to say those words. Because if you say those words without truly being it, then it is the ego that has come back in. And there is nothing more dangerous than the spiritual ego. Look how spiritual I am. Look how much Bhat Puja I do. Look how many prayers I do. I'm better than you. Look at how many different holy places I've been to. That's called the spiritual ego, and that ego is the hardest one to drop because you can't even see it. You're convinced of your own greatness. But real spirituality is saying, I am nothing. I am the dirt of the ground. I am lower than a worm. Because you recognize that as soon as you give your ego a little bit of a boost, it's so difficult to then overcome. So the spiritual masters have said, I am low. Nanak Neech. There's a beautiful phrase a beautiful verse in the Japji Sahib, where he's counting all the different people who are negative in the world. Asam Kamurak Andakor, Asam Kachor Haramkor. There are endless fools, there are endless murderers, people who are beheading people, people who are thieves. And then he says, Nanak Neech Hai Vichar, Bari na Java Eko. He says, but who am I? I'm lower than everything. Because you have created all of this, that I don't even have the words to describe how wonderful your creation is. I'm lower than everyone. Think about spiritual masters who are so low. I think of a wonderful story of Guru Ramdas Ji, the fourth Guru in the Sikh tradition. And when he was given the title and the responsibility of being the next Guru, he was visited by Guru Nanak's son, Baba Siri Chand Ji. And when Guru Ramdas Ji saw Baba Siri Chand Ji, the son of Guru Nanak, Guru Ramdas Ji bowed down to him and he took his beard and he wiped his feet. Baba Siri Chand Ji said, why do you keep such long hair? He said, so that I can wipe the feet of holy people like you. And Baba Siri Chand Ji said, it is this humility that has stolen the Gurugati from me. I was the son of Guru Nanak. I was meant to be the next Guru. But because you are so humble, that is the reason why the Guruship has gone to you and not to me. That level of humility, I am nothing, I am nobody, I am nothing, that is constantly grinding down the lower self, so that you never get to the point where you say, I am the higher self. And the spiritual masters who said I am the higher self, they said it's not even the words coming out of my mouth. They're not me. It's just God talking now. I'm not in control of God saying these things, but I know it's not my ego. So once you delete yourself, spirituality, religion is just simply doing one thing, self-deleting. It's the big delete button, constantly every day deleting yourself. Everything is you, nothing is me. And eventually they get to a point where they realize, I don't exist anymore. There's literally nothing here except God. That's the enlightenment. But they never go and say, oh, look how great I am. Look how enlightened I am. But once you get there, it is not that there is a higher self. Even that terminology is confusing. There is you, and then there is God sitting behind you, waiting patiently. Waiting for you to just delete yourself, clean yourself of your ego, your ideas, your desires, your passions in life, all of that stuff. It's not that the higher self then appears, it's always there. It's like the sun that is always shining, but you've closed the curtains. When you open the curtains, it's not that the sun appears, the sun has always been there. The higher self is always there behind you, behind me, behind everyone. But the ego self is so dark, and we're so comfortable with this darkness that we dare not open the curtains to see what's behind. Because to open the curtains is to delete yourself, is to get rid of yourself. So you are God. That is what these teachings have always taught you. Aham Brahmasmi, Tattvamasi. You are God. Man tu jyot swarup hai, apna mun pehchana. Recognize who you really are. So it is not blasphemy to say that you are God. The masters have always told you you are God. But it is blasphemy for you to say that you are God. Because you don't know that, and only your ego will be speaking. So there's no difference. You are God. But your ego simply doesn't know it.
Thank you so much for the session earlier today. That was incredibly insightful. The meditation was so powerful. I was hoping to get a little bit more clarification on the how. In terms of what would you recommend as like the first few steps on the how of knowing ourselves? I would love to hear a little bit further thoughts, please.
So the question is, when we hear this divine teachings, we need a bit more clarity around how exactly do we go there. And for me, step one is very clear. You must access the true wisdom. If you're not reading this wisdom, if you're not understanding this wisdom, if you're not learning and hearing about it every day, you cannot go any further. And we've just unfortunately created so much fear out of reading the spiritual scriptures. Maybe we don't understand them. Maybe they're in a foreign language. Maybe they use terminology that's outdated. Or they convey ideas that we just don't know what they're talking about. So whatever way gets you to start understanding the higher wisdom, that's number one, step number one. That could be listening to lectures. It could be reading prayers in your own language. But whatever it is, start building a daily practice. Start committing yourself to that. And I'll go back to that dating analogy. How do you fall in love with that person who you're a little bit interested in? You've got to make your life about them. You've got to show them, I'm dedicated to you. You've got to go out of your way to make that person the center of your life. And in the same way, you have to go out of your way to make wisdom the center of your life. And so I would definitely say that that's the number one step. Then the number two step is you start doing it. It's the difference between wanting to learn how to swim and just reading all the books about swimming. That's not good enough. You can't read books about swimming. At some point you have to enter the pool. At some point you have to overcome that fear and take the courage and say, I'm actually going to try this. Try these practices, try this wisdom. Try letting go of some of your negative thoughts. Try letting go of some of your ego-based thoughts. So you need to know the how, you need to have the guidance, and then you need to do the practice. And then you constantly go back. It's not step one and step two. You never let go of the wisdom. It's like when you're learning how to swim, you go and you do it, and then you go back to the teacher and say, okay, I've done the first stroke, now what do I do next? Or what am I doing wrong? Before I move on to the next lesson, how do I improve it? So you're constantly looking at the wisdom, practicing, looking at the wisdom, practicing. And the wisdom is all about the mind. It's all about your daily mindset. Are you actually living this truth? Is it actually a part of you? Are you catching yourself every time you get frustrated again? And remember the same things, you're going to have certain triggers in your life. The same things are going to just trigger those same negative responses. So eventually you start catching yourself and say, oh, my mother-in-law is back in the room again. I'm going to make the same mistake. I'm going to say the same things. I'm going to have those same immediate kind of reactions as soon as she walks into the room. Those things are going to be there. For you, it could be your boss. It could be a sibling. It could be another scenario at work. It could just be a traffic jam. you'll catch yourself, oh, because that wisdom is now there floating in the back of your mind, now when you react in the same way, now that wisdom's going to kick in and say, oh yeah, I read something about that. Oh, I'm doing it again. Maybe this time I'll catch myself and not react in the same way. So you're starting to actually practice. Remember, I'm not saying you just have to wake up in the morning and you have to do this and wear spiritual clothes. Those are all fine. But it's really how you live in your day-to-day life. Can you catch yourself? Are you tempted by the same addictions as you were yesterday? Or are you able to catch yourself and take a step back? So wisdom, practice, you're constantly oscillating between the two and you never let go of that. Me, everyone else who's been doing it for years, it's just the same. And eventually you fall in love with the game of it all. Eventually you fall in love with how ridiculous you are, that no matter how many times you've been taught, you're still making the same mistakes and you're like, oh, here we go again. Yeah, wisdom and practice.
Sorry, just the next question. The next question is about dreams. Do dreams mean something? When I pray in pain, I get my answers in my dream. Do dreams mean something?
So the question is around dreams. And sometimes when I pray, I get my answers in my dreams. So do dreams have any significance? To me, the way I've understood dreams is that they are an extension of your own thoughts. Whatever it is that you're concerning yourself with will manifest in a dream in some way or another. I'll give you an example of what happened to me a number of years ago now. I was very stressed with my work. Every single day I was stressed. I was going to bed just constantly worrying about work is not turning out the way I wanted to, this, that, the other. I would go to bed stressed and I would wake up constantly just thinking about work. What's the next thing that I need to do? I'm sure some of you have had those experiences. During that time, I started getting nightmares. And in the dreams, I was getting visions, dreams of accidents, my children getting killed in accidents, all sorts of horrific things were happening. I would wake up in the middle of the night. Or, in the morning, my dream just before I woke up would be something that would shock me to wake me up. And I was thinking, this has never happened before. You know, I don't watch any sort of real horror movies or anything like that, so it's not something that I'm watching. What's going on? And I didn't make the connection between the two. And then I realized what was going on. Because my day was full of stress, my body was releasing a certain amount of stress chemicals, and I was working with a certain amount of stress chemicals. And my body said, oh, in order to have a day, you need a certain amount of stress chemicals. So just before you wake up, I'm going to release some stress chemicals for you in a dangerous dream, in a horrific dream, so that when you wake up with all the chemicals that you need. And I thought, wow, that's what my body is doing? That because I'm living a stressful lifestyle, my dreams were replicating the kinds of thoughts I was having. But bear in mind, I wasn't thinking about the same thing. I wasn't dreaming about my work. My dreams were just saying something else. Now, had I been a little bit more superstitious, I would have said, oh, this is a bad omen, something's going to happen to my kids. Nothing happened to my kids, luckily. They're still okay. And this was a good few years ago. But I realized that there's no hidden, mystical visions happening. It's simply my brain responding to how I'm thinking throughout the day. And they might not be the same things. The images that you see in your dreams might not be the same thoughts that you're having, but there's an undercurrent. It's like the same emotion, but not the same visions. So if you're feeling certain emotions during the day, those are going to be expressed in your dreams at night. So I don't take any sort of deeper meaning into the dreams. I don't read into them and think, oh, that's a clear answer. The fact that if you're praying for something in the day and you're dreaming about it at night, that's simply a relationship. Your mind is just saying, you haven't fulfilled this during the day. At night, there's no restrictions. So at night, your brain can just dream whatever it wants. The things that you haven't managed to achieve in real life, in your dream, your dream say, okay, let's see what it looks like. You continue that thought without the restrictions of the daily struggles of life. That's how I've interpreted them. There may be more to it, and I never give my answer saying that this is the definitive answer. This is how I've understood it. And I've spent a little bit of time looking into it and trying to understand my own mind. And that's how I've begun to understand it. Dreams are simply an extension of your daily thoughts.
Good afternoon, everyone. With the advent of social media, peer pressure, liberal views by adults, it seems that both today's Sikh youth and adults seem to be drifting away from religious practices and institutions. What do you foresee happening to Sikhism if this trend continues? Because peer pressure, social media, and people being more liberal, they're not going anywhere. It seems to be something almost as a lifestyle now.
That's a very good question. Thank you so much. And I've never had it phrased in that particular way. That the world is becoming more liberal, and that's due to the pressures of social media. And because of that, the world is moving away from religious practices within the Sikh world. How do I see the Sikh world progressing? It's certainly not something that I've thought a lot about specifically within the Sikh world, but you're right, I certainly do see a larger uptake of liberal views. And by the way, just to define some of these terms, you have sort of more conservative views and liberal views. Conservative views tend to be a little bit more restrictive, a bit more segmented, our community versus their community, these are the right things, these are the wrong things, life should be like this, a bit more traditional and how ways and ideas used to be, and liberal views are all about modern ideas and everything's okay and everything goes and there's no rules and there's no boundaries and everyone can do whatever they want. You're absolutely right, I think the world is going in that direction. But from what I've seen, everything goes in cycles. I think liberalism will become so extreme that eventually, as a reaction to that, human society swings back the other way. A certain number of people are saying this has gone too far. We may even be at that point now, where certain parts of society are saying this is too much. Yeah? Whatever those liberal ideas are. And then it increases naturally the conservative views, because more and more people are saying, I don't want anything to do with that. But that has a knock-on effect on spirituality and religion as well. You're absolutely right. Because religion is seen as the old ideas, and liberal ideas are about breaking away from the old ideas. And we don't need these old religions, we don't need these old traditions. And just as society and human thought evolves over time, religions evolve over time as well. And if they don't, they'll stagnate. Religions must evolve. And we have to ask these difficult questions, is which part of the religions can we drop? Is it okay to drop certain things and move on? Now the conservative, the more religious, the traditionalist will say, no, you can't drop anything. This is divinely given to us. This is given to us by our elders, by our seniors. So we can't drop these things. So then you're always going to have a faction of people who want to keep hold of tradition, and then you're going to have people rebelling against that, saying, I don't agree with these traditions. They don't make sense to me. So I do think that we're getting to that stage now where the younger generations are just breaking away from religious rules. They just don't get it. For me, and certainly within the Sikh worldview, you have something that still works in both religious and conservative worldviews, and that is the actual spiritual underlying truth. And that's what Guru Granth Sahib Ji contains. Guru Granth Sahib Ji doesn't actually contain a lot of rules. And you have to ask yourself the question, why? Why did they not put the rules in there? The rules were sort of things that have evolved over time. Some of the later gurus created some more practices and traditions. And then even after the Guru's times, more and more rules seem to have come up. But the Gurus never put the rules in there. And the way I interpret that is that spiritual wisdom is timeless and religious rules are time-bound. That they have a certain time and place. So I'll give you a perfect example. It is said that Guru Gobind Singh Ji once created 52 hukamnamas, commandments. And one of those commandments of Guru Gobind Singh Ji says that every Sikh must ride a horse. How many of us are riding horses? Are you breaking the rules? No. You've understood that at the time when there wasn't any cars, that a Sikh must learn to get around, and actually at the times of war and battle, this was a great skill to have. Well, you're all breaking the rules today. Yeah? So we have to understand that certain rules are time bound. They made sense at a certain time, but we're very comfortable letting go of some of those rules. But some of the other rules, we're just not sure. Maybe we should keep them, maybe we shouldn't. And I think this is a bigger conversation. This isn't for one person to just say, here are all the new rules. It's for the community to get together and decide, how do we want to go forward? What's changing? Unfortunately, we don't have anyone with the courage to say, we will take on that duty. Everyone wants to pass the buck to somebody else. You go and make the rules. I'm not going to make them. So what you end up with is a very confused society, which is looking at the old rules, knowing that some of them don't necessarily translate into the modern world. And so people are left to their own devices. What's going to happen is more and more people, I'm going to talk about the Sikh religion. If the Sikh religion doesn't evolve, more and more people are going to walk away from it. The younger generation is just going to say, well, this is just a bunch of rules. Now for me, the Sikh religion isn't about rules. It's about this amazing wisdom that is true for all of humanity. It's true for you, me, no matter whether you're black, white, brown, doesn't make a difference. Whether you're gay or you're straight, whether you're man or you're woman, it makes no difference because it's a timeless, universal wisdom for all human beings. But if we could concentrate on the rules and saying you are a Sikh because if you do all these rules, you're a Sikh, and if you don't do all these rules, you're not part of the group, that's what people are going to walk away from. But if we redirect the focus to say, look, there are these traditions and rules, but actually the main chunk of it is this wisdom. You're actually a Sikh because you believe in this spiritual way of life. You practice this, you live this, you have this compassion within you. You have this sense of connection with everyone else, this sense of oneness with everyone else. And that's something you're actively pursuing. That makes you a Sikh. Those are the rules and the lifestyles that you should be focusing on. And if we can just divert people's attention towards that and say, this is the wisdom, this is what you need to do. And in order to do that, there's certain guidelines, certain best practices in order to do this, do that. Right? So it's the difference between showing someone how to play the guitar and then giving them a certain set of rules that says, every day I want you to practice for 15 minutes. Anyone who's learned music, the teacher will always tell them, practice every day. Even if it's for 15 minutes a day, practice every day. Now what's happened is people are now practicing every day, but they don't have the love for the music at the end. They're not trying to, it's like now you come from a family of guitarists and everyone just has to practice every day, whether they love it or not, whether they're interested in it or not. So you have to bring people back into falling in love with the end goal. You play the music and say, this is what our family is about. This is the people, these are our people, the people who make this music. And in order to make this music, you have to have these traditions. And we haven't done that. We focused way too much on the practices, and we said, we are the people who do these practices. And that's not who we are. Religion is never about practices, it's always about the end goal. It's always about the connection. We just need to divert people's attention back to the Guru Granth Sahib, the wisdom that actually talks about the connection. Most people are not Sikhs who are in love with the wisdom. They're just part of the community. They're just kind of dragging their feet along and doing one thing or another, making sure that they're doing the right things to be part of the community and the group. But we must be lovers of this wisdom. And when you're a lover of this wisdom, regardless of whether anyone else is doing or not, you will do what you need to do. You will define your own discipline to continuously have this interaction with this wisdom.
Thank you. My comment question is related to life and the stresses that come with being alive. Once we were having a discussion where I myself was a bit taken back with the thought that came to mind and that I shared. I said it's very simple, be dead. Of course, there was shock from my fellow the persons I was in discussion with. And then I clarified. I said, look, be dead whilst alive. And they said, what do you mean? I said, simple. Just think about, we've all seen the heart rate monitors as we visit hospitals. These heart rate monitors go up, down, up, down. And sadly, when we see the flat line, the person who's was connected to that heart monitor is no more. So I said, be the deadline. And then what came to mind is every high in life is when we have a small win in life. We get elated, we jump for the clouds. I did this, I won this, I achieved this. Inevitably, a low follows. And we don't want to know about it. We get depressed to no end. We do not associate the I with the low. So I said, it's very simple, maintain the deadline. And why? The highs and lows are related to the body that I am not. And there's a superior being who has chosen to throw these highs and lows in my pathway. So who am I to question it? All I need to do is maintain the deadline, be at peace with myself. So my question or comment was, what your thoughts are on this, and in particular any references therein in the Guru Granth Sahib Ji to this aspect. Thank you.
Thank you. That's very beautifully explained. I couldn't have explained it better myself. Thank you so much. People tend to think that there are only two emotions, happy and sad. And all the emotions to do with happiness, excitement, joy, delight, and all the emotions to do with sadness are to do with despair, loss, even frustration, fears, angers, all these things are to do with sadness. Spiritual masters have said there isn't just one or the other, there's actually a third one. You've got Sukh, you've got Dukh, and the other one, which only the masters know about, is called Santok. Stillness, contentment, which is what you refer to as the flat line. It's neither the highs nor the lows. And the truth of the matter is that the human mind is constantly running between one or the other. There's a beautiful verse from Gurudwara that says, Sukh ko mange sabko, dukh na mange ko. Sukhe ko dukh agla, manmukh bujh na mange. Everybody wants happiness, nobody wants sadness. Everyone is chasing happiness, and nobody wants the sadness. But sadness is always what comes after happiness. Once you're high, you can always go low only. You can't go much higher. There's always a peak to your happiness. And that can't be sustained, which is what we beautifully described as the flat line. Once it goes up, it has to come down again, and eventually it goes to the middle, then it goes up, then it goes down again. So I call this the emotional roller coaster. It's always up and it's always down. And the truth of the matter is, we are all on an emotional roller coaster. We don't actually know how to get off that roller coaster. The truth of the matter is, you don't actually know what emotions you're going to go through today. Can you say all the range of emotions you're going to experience in that day? When you wake up in the morning, you don't know. So you're completely a slave to this roller coaster that you're on. You don't know, I might feel really great today, something might happen, I might feel really low. The masters are the ones who said, I'm not even getting on that roller coaster. Whatever happens, I'm going to stay neutral. The neutral mind. Let good things happen, let bad things happen. My mind is not to be attached to any of those outcomes. I'm to stay neutral. And the way that they stay neutral is they have a loving connection with the divine. They say, whatever you want to do is okay with me. So much so that the Guru said that even if you give me hunger and starvation, I will see it as your blessing. Even if that happens, and it's happening for millions of people, even this is your blessing. Yeah? So that neutral mind is the highest state. And most of society doesn't train you that that's the highest state. They train you that the highest state is elation, happiness, being always happy all the time. But actually being content, being neutral to circumstances, being neutral to the highs and lows of life. Remember, we're only talking about mindset. Life will go up and down. Events will keep happening. You're not in control of that. But you can be in control of your emotions. And the way you do that is by not attaching yourself to certain desires. I only want this to happen, I don't want that to happen. So you become neutral to life. Yes, there are certain things that we want to happen. If they happen, that's a blessing. If they don't happen, that's a blessing. And this is the terminology that starts to happen when you follow these teachings, is Terapana Mitana. Whatever you do is going to be sweet to you. And that, I think, is the neutral mind that we're talking about. Thank you so much.
In this fast changing environment in the world, I have a grandson who's 4 years old. He's got long hair. He sees his father wearing the star. He sees his grandfather wearing the star. And eventually he will wear the star. And I'm worried how he's going to handle himself in school as far as bullying is concerned. Do you have any tips that I could suggest to the parents and to him particularly?
Thank you. That's a very good question, a very important one, especially for young boys within this tradition. Sikhi seems to impact young boys more than it does young girls because they're wearing the patka, the juda, the turban on their head. I can give you my experience of how I grew up and also my experience of raising two boys, and of course I'll ask Harmeet to also give her experience as well. Growing up, I grew up in a school where I was the only boy who wore a patka. And yes, there was bullying, and yes, there was name calling, and yes, there were the odd kids who would grab them. I grew up in a school where, even where there were other sick children, as I grew up into high school, when a beard started coming on my face, my closest friends would refer to me as a gorilla, as a monkey. Can you imagine for a 12, 13, 14-year-old boy, your friends calling you a gorilla or a monkey? And they thought it was very funny. And it used to hurt, obviously. Not once throughout my entire childhood and young adolescence did I ever have the mindset that I don't want this, I want to get rid of this. Even though I went through all the same things that anyone else would go through. Even though I was the only child who in my lower school was wearing a burqa. How did that happen? Because my parents were very vigilant to retain me in a community where I knew who I was. When I went to school, yes, I was surrounded by other school children, but who I was outside of school, connected to the Sangha, connected to other children, connected to family members. All of us, like you said, a young boy will see his dad, he will see his granddad, maybe he will see his uncles. And I grew up knowing this is who we are, this is the people that we are. I went to a Gurudwara where everybody had a juda. So I didn't want to cut my hair as a young boy, and I never had that feeling because I was so secure in who I was. And my parents had actively created that community for us. Growing up, I've realized that the number one thing, if you're worried about young boys specifically, keeping their gauge, keeping their juda, the number one thing is going to be their peers. And the example that we've had to live in our own life is our youngest son, both of our boys when they were in junior school had the opportunity to sit these grammar school exams. And my eldest boy sat the grammar school exams. He didn't pass, but it was fine. We were very fortunate that we have a Khalsa school in our vicinity, and we sent our eldest boy to the Khalsa school. When the second son also sat the grammar school exams, he actually passed. And I knew, and I told him and I warned him in advance, whether you pass or whether you don't pass, you're going to go to this Khalsa school. The Khalsa school is not a grammar school, but it's a very good school, but it's not a grammar school. Why did we do that? And he was disappointed, and I think now he even still is disappointed. He's been there for a year or two. Because at the back of his mind, he said, I passed the test. I should be in one of the higher schools. But we know that the people you surround yourself with, especially in teenage years, is going to determine what your life looks like. That is the biggest factor And I really don't think as a community we've understood how important Sangat is and who the people are, especially in teenage years and especially for teenage boys. When you become a teenage boy, you reach a certain age, around 14, when you stop listening to your parents. What your parents say is no longer the most important factor in your life. So, knowing that, we have actively created a safety net around those boys to say, okay, we know that you're going to get to a point where you're not going to listen to us. Okay, but have these uncles in your life that you can go and speak to, who are role models for you. So we've actively chosen the people that we want in their life, and we've actively pushed away certain people that we don't want in their life. And the teenage years for young boys is the most influential. So who they hang around with is going to determine whether they keep the Gesha. That's the number one thing. Doesn't matter whether they read Gurudwara and all these things, doesn't matter how much you teach them, doesn't matter how much pressure you put as a parent. Because human beings are tribal animals. We have evolved to want to belong to a tribe. And the way to belong to a tribe, going back to our ancestors and cavemen and whoever we all were originally in our ancestry, we all belong in small groups. And the way that human mind has evolved is that in order to belong to this group and be accepted by this group, I have to behave and act like the group. That's how the tribal system works. Nobody belongs to a tribe and is the odd one out. If you're the odd one out, you get kicked out of the tribe. That's how the human brain works. You're all doing what your tribe is telling you to do. If you want somebody to belong to a certain tribe, you have to create that environment for them. If you think that your boy can survive his Sikhi by being in the best schools, but there's no others who are like him, I've seen it time and time again, it will fail. You're very lucky if that boy comes out and still has a sense of who he is within his community. And I'm very aware that I'm using terminology that now seems very divisive and very religious, and our religion and their religion and all these things. But this is why I say, you have to know what these religions and these practices do for the higher purpose. I'm very aware of that. I'm teaching my boys that, remember the higher purpose. But I'm also not dismissing everything. I'm not just telling my boys, oh, it's all about spirituality, do what you want. It's all about, we're all one anyway, you don't need to practice any rules. No. You have to have the discipline, the lifestyle, the connection to the wisdom, the practices in order to reach that higher thing. So it's very important for your young boy to spend as much time as possible with other young boys who look like him and young men who can become role models in his life. That's the honest truth, and I'm sure Harmeet will agree with that because we've talked about it a lot. And being parents of 2 young boys, that's still a struggle, that's still a worry for us. You know, ultimately, we don't know whether it's going to pay off or not, but we're starting to see some of the decisions that we make having the influence in the right way.
The only thing I would add to that is that in our home, we've created an outbuilding, which is a space, knowing that we've got teenage boys, where we want them to bring their friends home, so that we meet their friends, we know who they're hanging out with, we know who their Sangat is. So, you know, there's a pool table, there's a flat screen TV, they've got their PlayStation and whatnot, so it's like, if you want to spend time, have fun, don't go out, you don't need to go bring them here and do it here, so we can, you know, keep close ties with who they're hanging out with as well.
Most of us have seen reels about manifesting. Is it even true, and is it allowed in Sikhi?
Thank you. So the question is around manifestation, and I imagine you're talking about the law of attraction. And is there any room for it? Because there's a lot of spiritual language that's being used, especially by social media influencers, who say that life is all about manifesting. You can co-create, you're a co-creator, you and the divine are co-creators. I've done a lot of thinking about this, research about this, and to be honest, there is nothing in spirituality that is about manifesting and law of attraction. And no matter how much spiritual wisdom they try to put on top of it, the truth of the matter is, All spiritual masters have said real spirituality is to break away from the world, is to break your ties and your bonds with the world. And all law of attraction preachers and manifesting preachers are only telling you how to become more rich, more successful, how to have the career that you want, how to have the partnership and the relationship that you want. It's all about creating more attachments in life. What is it that they want you to attach yourself to? What is it that they want you to attract? What is it that they want you to manifest? If you think about it, it's always materialism. And spiritual masters have said you have to break away from this, because ultimately none of these things are going to go with you. Even if you get what you want, there's no guarantee that it's going to stay with you. So the masters have taught you that you're trying to gain stuff in order to be happy. The master is saying, I can show you how to be happy regardless of the stuff that you gain. That's real spirituality. There is no spirituality that is to do with manifestation. Now, you might say, but I've tried it, and I really wanted to get this one thing, and eventually I got it. That's not law of attraction, that's law of obsession. If you obsess over anything over time, you will get it, because that's what you're spending all of your time in. But the people will try and tell you, the influencers will try and tell you that, oh, it's because if you think a certain way, the universe has changed its entire direction to give you what you want. So you have manifested it. And what greater statement of ego can there be that I am a co-creator with God? Me and God and me are equal creators. God creates some stuff, but I can also create stuff. You yourself are elevating yourself to a status of a God. So the people who talk about law of attraction have no concept of deep spirituality. All they know is the law of obsession and the law of materialism. Now, if that's what you want, go for it. But the spiritual masters have said that is a surefire route to depression and suffering. Because all the things that you manifest are one day going to leave you. And then let's see what your mindset is like.
Excuse me, I got my questions online. Shall I wait for it or shall I put it from the floor? Because all the questions are being dealt from the floor and time is running out. Shall I wait for the online questions? Okay. Please don't leave me.
If you have one question,
I've got two questions.
Okay.
Shall I ask?
Yeah, let's start with the first one.
Huh?
Start with the first one, please.
My questions are two questions. Wisdom and meditation. I question on it, is Sikhi, in Sikhi there is no such thing. Even Nanak never meditate or any other sadhana. Our is to sing with the musical instrument, musical sentiment, which Nanak did with his companion Mardana ji. Our Gurbani is written under Mahalla and Rags. To sing into sense of the Gurbani has to be grasped through reading and remembered with repeated recitation. And to mold and to mold our life to be lived in accordance with every fellow being and with equal status. That's one question. Shall I put another one or shall I wait for the answer today?
Let's do the first one first.
Huh?
I'll do the first one first.
Okay.
So the question is that in Sikhi, there's no such thing as meditation, and the only meditation is to sing Kirtan and constant recitation of a mantra, the name of the divine, or singing of Kirtan. Before I researched Gurbani deeply, I also had the same view. The more I've understood Gurbani, I've realized that it predominantly encourages what we would call Bhakti Marg. which is lovingly singing praise towards the divine. But in ancient Indian spirituality, there is more than one path, and there is another one called Gyan Marg, which is to know the self. And in Gyan Marg, they don't sing Kirtan, they don't have a mantra that they recite, they don't have a mantra that they do japa. And when you know what Gyan Marg is, and you read certain Shabads in Gurbani, you realize that there are certain Shabads in Gurbani that are Gyan Marg and not Bhakti Marg. I'll give you an example, and I'll also help you how to know these Shabads. If you ever come across a Shabad where there is no reference to Naam, you can start to look at what is the technique. If there's no reference to singing God's praises, if there's no reference to divine chanting, those Shabads are Gyan Marg and they're not Bhakti Marg. A perfect example of this is there's a Shabad, Bande Khoj Dil Har Roj Na Phir Pareshani Mai. That's Kabir Ji's Shabad. And it says, O person, every day go within yourself and know yourself. Search within yourself. And when you search within yourself, you will get rid of all of your worries. So that particular Shabad, if you go through it, says that within you, there is a divine river that is flowing. And you must go and dive into that river of the self. That is Gyan Marg. So within Guru Granth Sahib Ji, there is meditation. Otherwise, how do you do Bande Khoj Dil Har Roj? Simply going to the Gurudwara and doing Kirtan is not that deep in a Khoj. This is a verse from Guru Granth Sahib. This is Bani as well. This is the Guru Shabad as well. So what the Guru advocates is predominantly a Bhakti Marg where you sing, and there is a different way as well. Now the reason that's important for people to understand is because there is more than one way that could work for you. You have to look at your lifestyle. Gurbani is focused on the end goal. How you get there is not that important. Most people, especially those who've been brainwashed into religiosity, that we are the Sikhs are better than the Hindus, we're better than the Muslims, and look at all of these Shabads where the Guru is talking down to all the other religions. No, they're not talking down to them. They're highlighting hypocrisy within those religions. Because if the Guru was against other religions and other traditions, he would say, all Muslims should become Sikhs. All Hindus should become Sikhs. You should all abandon your ways. They don't do that. They highlight some of the wrong thinkings in people. So for example, the Guru would go to the Hindu mandirs and they would look at people worshipping an idol. And they say, why are you worshipping that idol? Don't you know that God is within you? What can this idol do for you? Stop worshipping this idol, start worshipping the divine which is already in you. Don't externalize God, internalize God. So Gurbani, I disagree with you, is not just about Bhakti Marg, and I disagree with you that Gurbani does not have meditation. There is meditation, but it is something that is less prominent than Bhakti and Kirtan. Bhakti and Kirtan is by far what Guru Nanak Dev Ji recommends as the easiest way for you. Remember, some of the other traditions like meditation, they were developed by monks. And you need many years to sit in absolute solitude. You need to get away from the world in order to go into this deep meditation. That's what some other people did. And there have been people who've become enlightened in those particular ways. And the Guru does not criticize anyone who is genuinely enlightened. The Guru criticizes people who use certain ways unknowingly, in their wrong way. But for the common person who's got a job, who's got a house, who's got responsibilities, who's got children, who's got day-to-day life, they said you can't go and do the monk practices. I have to give you a practice that works in your day-to-day life. And they said, as you're walking about, ut the bed, sovat nam. As you're sitting, as you're walking, as you're talking, keep reciting God's name. That is the easiest way. And get together in Sangat, and when you get together in Sangat, sing divine praises. So that's the Kirtan Marg that you're talking about. But I disagree that there is no meditation. Gurbani does talk about meditation.
I want to elaborate a little bit. Sochya sochna hove, je soche rakhwa. ਦੂਜਾ ਤੁਹਾਡਾ ਤੁਸੀਂ you spoke too much on wisdom. Even wisdom ਕਿਸ ਤਿਆਰਾ ਹੋਈਏ ਕਿ ਪੂਰੇ ਤੱਤੇ ਪਾਰ ਹੁਕਮ ਜਾਈ ਚੱਲਣਾ.
Isn't that wisdom? Hukum Razai Chalana? That is wisdom.
We want an answer from you. Liberation from hukum. What is the hukum? We have to look into it.
I will ask the committee to invite me back next time, and I have a lot of thoughts on hukum. If you look at the Nanak Naam YouTube channel, the number one lecture is a lecture on hukum and understanding hukum. So these are very deep subjects and not ones that we can easily cover in a short space of time. Happy to come back and do a lecture on hukum if that's what the Sangat wants.
Now let me come to the second question.
Just to be clear as well, Vijay, you were asking about the questions. We had many questions that came in.
Very short one.
We have simplified them into one sentence
I will do
questions.
that. Actually, I need a simple question answer. I don't want a very elaborate answer. Bali, I have heard your lecture on this subject. I want to ask you, life after death. According to Sikh, with reference to 80 lakh Juni and reincarnation with the role of Dharmaraj. Very short answer. I have read a lot on this subject. Give me a very short answer.
What is the question?
Huh?
What is the question?
Question I want to ask you, life after death. This is the question. Is it all right?
Okay, so the
If
question...
your subject, I can quote your subject. So you elaborate on that.
Okay. So the question is about what happens after death. Is there life after death? And what does Gurbani say specifically about reference to 84 lakh, 8.4 million lives? One of the things that I've tried to do in all of my lectures and talks is I talk about what I know and I stay away from the subjects that I don't know. The truth of the matter is I have no idea what's going to happen to me after I die. It is not my experience. I haven't experienced dying and reincarnation. I don't know. It could be that I've come from many different life forms. Certainly Gurbani talks about those many different life forms. But I tend to talk about subjects that I can actually give you some advice on based on what I've gone through. I've yet to go through death in this lifetime. But Gurbani does reference many different things. Now this concept of 8.4 million lives is not a Sikh concept. It's a very old Indian idea. And the idea is that when you die, your soul goes and has now an opportunity to go into one of 8.4 million different life forms. Interestingly, if you actually do a Google search on how many different varieties of life there are on Earth, it's about 8.2 million. The scientists have discovered 8.2 million different life forms on Earth. But the ancient Indian wisdom says there's 8.4. So I thought that was quite interesting when I Googled that. For me, this is just one of many different ancient Indian ideas that Gurbani references. And there are many other references in Guru Granth Sahib Ji about the kinds of things that people believed at that time. There is talk of 7 heavens and 7 hells. Most Sikhs would say, yes, but that's just an old idea. We don't actually believe there are 7 heavens and 7 hells. Some people, there is reference to 33 crore Devi Devte, 33 million gods and goddesses. And most Sikhs would say, yes, we know that they talk about it, but we don't believe that there's 33 million different types of gods and goddesses. So there are many different things that have existed prior to this that Gurbani talks about because that's what the people believed at the time. And so Gurbani is talking to you as you believe. Whatever you believe, Gurbani is basically saying, hey, you're worried about 8.4 million lives? I've got this technique called Naam that will get you out of that. Now that's not the Guru saying 8.4 million lives exist. In fact, some of the Gurus and the Bhagats have said, I don't know where heaven is. Na jana Vaikuntha kahani. Bhagat Kabir ji Shabad. He says, I don't know where heaven is, but everyone says they want to go. After they die, everyone says they want to go to that heaven, but I don't